we're gonna make it 22 inches, the bag's completely full. We get a ton of pipe, start rolling and chopping it up. The tube work is gonna be right at eye level. You know, it looks like a sculpture after it's done.
Oh, that was 28!
Yeah! This 2016 Escalade is super luxurious, and we're gonna add tons more power to this.
Jared's gonna leave every other Escalade in the dust.
Oh my God!
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. This shop is built on the diversity of the custom cars we work on. That's what keeps us on our toes. That's what keeps. What are you doing, man?
I was fogging for mosquitoes.
I've known Tom a long time. He owns a construction company and says driving around in a big old custom truck is great advertisement for his business. How you doing, Tom?
How you doing, man? Good to see you. A long time. It's been a minute. It has.
Love your entrance, man.
Bill's a really good friend of mine. We grew up together on the north side of Houston. He's the guy to go to if you want something done custom.
Well, what are we doing?
Trying to get this thing lifted up. It's got to be real high, though. I need to be in the clouds.
This is a stock Ford F-250 straight off the showroom floor. This one has a 6.7-liter turbo diesel with 925 foot-pounds of torque.
When people first see this truck, I want them to be completely blown away at how did we do that.
So huge wheels, huge lift, 4-link with the big bags.
Definitely.
Color match the suspension.
Yeah, man.
There are a lot of aftermarket lift kits available for the F-Series truck. Man, we're going to make this one different. I mean, we're going to make it adjustable, classy. This is going to be the coolest truck around.
I need it to be down when I'm in town and up when I'm off-road.
So just go all out on it.
Go all out.
Like custom bumpers.
Custom bumpers. Got to be color matched. Easy with it because it's easy to go crazy with them. It's got to be something that you've never done before. It's got to be something that nobody's ever seen.
Nice. So the inside, I know you want the crazy stereo. Subs under the seat.
The sound has got to be loud.
It's awful dark in here, so we need to brighten it up.
Interior is so important. That's where I spend all of my time. I need this build to be something special, not only in the city and on the streets, but more importantly in the mud park.
Tom, you know we're going to take care of you on this.
I know you are.
Well, let's go do some paperwork. Man, I love the challenge of making a custom lift. The key for me is building it high enough so people will take notice. When people are looking eye level at this lift, it'd be like looking at a sculpture. While keeping the off-road performance, that way you can go out and still get a little crazy. So what's this? We got the new 17 250 4-wheel drive and platinum. So we want to take it a few steps up. Outside the airbags and shocks, we're going to hand make everything else. We're going to start with a frame down air suspension. 22 inches with the bags completely full. Air suspension. We're talking fender well up here.
I can walk under it?
Tim can walk under it.
So 6-inch lift.
Tim can walk under it?
We'll color match some parts with a pearl white. We'll chrome the rest of the parts for a high contrast shine. We're having 28-inch billet wheels with a 42-inch tire so it can ride even higher.
28 by 42?
It's a custom one-off wheel created just for this truck.
So what about the inside?
We'll just cut the bottom half of the door panels off. We'll put speakers in the door panels and build a see-through console, which extends all the way to the back seat, with 3 big woofers that are lit with LED lights.
What about back here? Anything in the bed?
Tom wants his truck lifted and loud, so we'll put 4 8-inch full-range marine-grade speakers in the bed. Just something that looks super classy, but just is super loud.
Gotcha.
bumpers?
We're also modifying the exterior of this truck with a custom set of bumpers for the front and the rear.
Just big on this.
Exactly. And the sooner we get it done, the sooner we can take it to the off-road park and go check it out.
Oh, let's get it done immediately.
Today.
Tear all the interior out of this.
Awesome. While the F-250 is still on the ground, now's a good time for Heath and Tim to tear out the interior.
These things are tight. On the old classic cars, everything's metal, bunch of Phillips screws. New cars, I prefer to use just a regular hand ratchet. It takes a little longer, but I don't break nothing.
There she goes.
Now we got her off. You're trying to get the console out right now? Gone! I'm just glad we're doing all this before it's 4 feet up in the air and my big ass can't get in here no more.
Whole new air suspension for this truck. We have to get rid of everything stock, from the wheels, the springs, the shocks, the mounts, anything to do with stock. We're gonna make a clean slate on this frame so we can start from scratch.
Jamie's a real wild man. He just comes together, gets it done, gets ready to go on the next one.
There's so much stuff in the way. Gotta be really behind that proportion valve.
And I'm gonna score it right here and break the weld.
Was it hood time?
It's hood time. We're going to need to clean the frame rails to weld our suspension to. So John is burning off all the stock suspension brackets. Once John's done, I'll follow him with a grinder. I'll grind all this down smooth so we're ready for the new brackets. We tore out all the stock spring suspension. We're going to measure for all the parts we need for the lifted air suspension. This truck is basically riding on air, which is a way smoother ride than springs. It's a super technical build, and we got to be right on the money. That's 21 inches between the center of the axle to the ground. So we had it right on the money. Tall things are looking crazy with the 42s, the 28s.
Going to have the first set in the world.
I'm excited about this.
47. You got 47.
All right, I got y'all's pieces.
Rudy's fabricated the axle mounts for the 4-link. That gives us a solid place to mount the suspension to the axle. Perfect, man.
That'll work.
Yeah, 5/8.
Yeah.
Now we're going to install it. Super critical to get all this right so the drive line stays right. You don't have any vibration going down the road, so it's key to get this on the money. A little bit more back. That'll work. Right now I'm designing the drop-down bracket on this truck. That allows the pivot points to drop down to keep the 4-link more in line. And man, you're gonna need a ladder to get in this truck. We'll tape our poster board to the frame and kind of figure out where the pivot point's going to be. It's too bad we don't have some laser scanner. I don't use AutoCAD. I just use pen and paper. We just do it the old-fashioned way. The advantage of that is I see the end result in real time. We're trying to figure our pivot points out on the frame itself, so everything's going to articulate on the rear end and the frame. I think we're good with the pivot point here, so we're pretty much set up. We can give this to Rudy, start burning some plate, start building this thing. Check it out, Rudy.
See what you got.
Now it's up to you to make me one whole plate here that bolts onto the whole side of the truck. I want it to hold the back part of the 4-link, the front part of the 4-link, and just some nice style to it here.
You want these holes punched out?
3/4.
Got some big old heims going on there.
That's right.
So I got my template that Bill gave me. We're gonna go draw it up on the computer. So this is pretty much the backbone of the truck. This is what's gonna hold the whole truck up together when it's whipping around in mud, jumping, or whatever he wants to do with it.
this will hold the whole truck intact. So we gotta make sure it's nice and perfect, and nice and strong too.
Rudy's burning out the drop-down brackets on Tom's F250 right now. Man, this thing allows us to get higher. It adds a ton of strength and rigidity.
All right, so we got our piece for the F250 cut out. All we gotta do now is just punch our holes for the 4 links. We need to punch them and not cut them out because we want some real clean holes.
Hell yeah. Now we're gonna test fit the bracket. This bracket will basically drop down the frame rail. That way we can extend the lift even higher.
So tightening that gap up, Lulu?
It's going.
You know, I love being out in the shop. I love getting dirty, welding, grinding. I can't stand being in the office, answering the phones, doing paperwork. I hate it. I love being out with the guys. That's my passion. That's what I'm going to do till I die. Man, everything's proportioned perfect, man. I love it. This will be powder coated. It's really going to bring some color down in the frame. It's just really, really going to look good. And it's strong. Lindsay is an old friend. We've customized a few trucks for him in the past, and let's just say he's enthusiastic.
What up, dog?
What's happening, man?
Hell yeah. Good seeing you, man.
Wow. Look at all slim and trim. When I first met Bill, he had an S10 pickup, and he had welded like this triangle thing on the door with a tire so he could turn sharp and drive through the neighborhood sideways. That's when I first met Bill.
What you got? This 2016 Escalade is a 6.2-liter V8 and 420 horsepower. It's large and luxurious, but at this point, it's just equipped for getting the kids to soccer.
I got the bells, the whistles, the distles, the tristles. I got it all. I mean, it has anything and everything an ordinary person want. But if you have Bill in your life, you're not ordinary. You know, I can't look like every other soccer mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I gotta make it look just nasty.
First thing we gotta do is put a supercharger on it. Give him about 100 or so extra horsepower to the rear wheels. I know you want that.
Because this already has a lot of power, but like, it's gonna be over the top power. Redonkulous power. I'm pumped.
We gotta lower this thing.
Ooh, okay. So when we lower it to the ground, it's easy for me to step and slide and ease right out that joint.
Man, new wheels, new tires. We gotta put the Billet 26s on it.
What else? What else?
You know,
Come on.
a little contrast on the trim.
Okay.
You know, something that totally sets you apart.
See, that's what's wrong. That's why, people, I'm addicted to the extension. I gotta have me some Bill love.
Man, the grill, we gotta have you a custom grill in it. That's the first thing you see when it's coming at you.
Once Bill puts his hands on it, it's gonna be fly. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna ride, and everybody can see me extensified. Yeah, let's do it, dog. Come on.
Man. You need to drive the van?
Yeah, I'll drive the van. Temporary.
You know, these trucks are already over the top. They're super luxurious. The 6.2 in this is plenty of horsepower. But man, we're gonna set this apart, bring it to the next level, and add tons more power to this. When you see Lindsay coming down the road in this is just gonna be over the top, just like Lindsay.
Well, well, well. Is this who I think it is?
Oh, Lindsay, he wants us to hook him up. My plan is to add to the Cadillac's luxury with a little more presence and muscle. We'll start by adding a supercharger to the engine, and that should add around 100 horsepower.
Is he wanting like diamond encrusted bezels for the headlights and around the
Man,
grill?
you probably like that, but we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
To make this truck one of one, we're gonna take all the chrome off and spray every bit of it so it looks like an anodized black. And we'll add a new grill and paint that too. Anodized black wheels, everything. You gotta really have a nice contrast, you know, no crazy red or blue or something like that on it. Keep it classy. Just classy and still stand out. You know, he wants to be able to drop his kids off and still take this out to the club. We'll fill the fender wells with custom 26-inch billet wheels. And it'd be like no other Escalade around. Let's just say Lindsay is really passionate about...
Excited when he just walks in the office.
Good luck, buddy.
I'm on it.
We've never
never installed a supercharger on this model Escalade before, so I asked Justin to take the lead on this one.
So what's the game plan for this one?
Man, this dude's over the top. He wants something he can get in and just smoke the tires off this thing. So,
Thinking supercharger?
yeah, but he's got to have something next level. I know how you get down with that tube work.
Okay.
So I want you to build him a custom air intake, man. So when he pops the hood, he can see that we handmade him something just for him.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So let's knock it out.
We're going to start removing some of the factory components out of the way. The type of supercharger it is, it's a centrifugal is what they call it. It increases the output speed of this impeller somewhere in the 60 to 70,000 RPM range. And in doing so, it creates boost. So when I'm done putting this thing on here, it's going to leave every other Escalade in the dust. Right now, we got to remove this bracket right here that holds the computer. This is pretty much the brain of the vehicle, so we need to be super careful with it when we move this thing around and get it in its new location. Should slide right out now. Shouldn't have said fight me there, probably would have came right out. Let me see what else I need to move out the way to get this thing. We're about to have to pick this thing up and get that cover off so that we can get to that one last bolt.
Fitting an aftermarket supercharger in a stock truck like Lindsay's 2016 Escalade is always tricky, especially in such tight quarters. So it's not surprising Justin's having trouble moving the computer to make room for that supercharger.
This little panel right here serves no other purpose other than keeping rocks and stuff from hitting the computer. Right, now that we got this last bolt out the way, you can see that our computer will be ready for our new bracket to relocate it. And there we go. The purpose behind a supercharger is to increase the airflow going to your engine. Your engine is basically an air pump, so the more air you can get in, the more air you can get out, the more horsepower you can make. So we're going to go ahead and put our belt on for our new blower setup. So what this is doing is putting more tension on this belt. It keeps it from slipping on the supercharger at high RPMs. So if you went to a smaller pulley, you really crank out some horsepower on this thing. So right now we're about to install our intercooler. It takes the hot air from the supercharger and cools it down before it goes in the engine. We can connect the two with our rubber couplers and hard piping. All we gotta do is snake it through and make our connection. So this 4-inch pipe will support a lot of airflow, which in return means it'll support a lot of horsepower. All installed just like that.
We're making a huge custom lift for Tom's F250, including this drop-down bracket we're installing right now. Well, let's get the holes in this thing. We'll put 5 holes down the side, and then we can through bolt them. Cut another piece for the back part of it to box it in. We can weld this right inside the frame. This thing, it's never gonna come off. It's one of the strongest parts of the whole truck. We're now mocking up the 4-link bars. There are 2 bars on each side, the pushing on one side and a heim on the other for adjustment. This connects the rear end to the frame.
So I'm about to lay out a jig so I can make the pins, and I'm gonna take it to this straight piece of C-channel, make it all squared. So when I put the other end and I weld the bar in between, the bushing ends are actually squared off with the 4-link bar. Now I got the jig all made, I go cut some DOM tubing to weld between the bushing and the heim joint. Now I got the piece of DOM in, fit nice and snug, straight, I can tack it. Then I'll remove it, put another one in, and just keep repeating the process. Once they're all done, tacked up, then I'll weld them all out all together in one shot.
The drop down is looking good. Next step, just putting the 4-link on.
4-link connects the rear axle to the frame and keeps it centered with your wheel well as it lifts up and down. We don't want this truck driving down the road sideways, so we're gonna make these 4 links equal length.
Cool. Put that 4-link John, that looks good.
Hell yeah. We get started with the front 4-link bars now, huh?
Yeah, man, let's knock them out, get them put on. We'll start building them bag mounts.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna take a lot of compressed air to lift this 3-ton truck up to 22 inches. So John and Tim are mocking up the air compression system.
John's designed a pretty cool little air setup here where the tanks are going to mount, and then the bars are going to hold the compressors. We have 2 5-gallon tanks, and we're going to put 4 compressors across it to fill the tanks. Then we'll run lines to the valves to the airbags. We're going to cut some flat bar to bolt the 2 air tanks together to keep the system compact. So we made these pieces of flat bar to keep everything symmetrical, to keep everything even. And it's also going to work as mounts for the valves. With the tanks mocked up, we're going to tack the DOM tubing on the sides to keep it symmetrical. Good. This will give us a layout for the 4 new air compressors. And that looks good. Now that the DOM is symmetrical, we'll evenly space out the compressors. Pretty good, huh? Pretty good job. The bars, the way they are, it all fans out. It's all symmetrical. Now what we can do is finish everything out here. And after this is powder coated, we can take this, flip it over, put these 4 bolts into it, and everything's a done unit.
Up on the air suspension on this truck, Heath has his hands full making the center console on this F-250.
This is our shape of our console. This is going to go up into the dash right here, have a subwoofer here, 2 more subwoofers going back down in that direction, and then we have plexiglass sides, lit all up, all white. It's going to be really cool. We'll get this nailed down, and then we'll router it out, and then we're going to make our other pieces that go on the inside. We're actually doing a process, it's called stacking, and what it is we're going to stack a bunch of these to get this shape. Made all my stack pieces, see, all the way up just to get this shape all the way around. So it gives a cool little design. Whenever you do this stack method, you waste a lot of material. We've got a bunch down there that's just scrapped out, but should be real strong. This box is definitely a one-off. There'll be some people trying to probably replicate it, but they're not going to be able to do the exact same thing we did here. That's as far as I can get on this console until Gerardo gets it all primed and painted out.
I have a plexiglass side, so that's going to be see-through. We're going to paint the inside of it pearl white to color match to the F-250. So we're going to go ahead and throw down the base, which is like an off-white. And then we're going to throw the pearl. And after that, we throw in the clear coat.
Most of the way through the air suspension on Tom's lifted F-250. Because the truck is so high, the tube work that is normally hidden under the truck is going to be right at eye level. What I want to do with this is just have arching tube work all throughout, man.
Hell yeah.
Even the bag mounts have, rolled tubing. Just looks like it's reaching up and grabbing that thing and just coming down and holding it to the rear end.
I got 2 hands holding that bag.
Hell yeah. We'll get a ton of pipe, start rolling, and chopping it up.
We're going to bend, cut, and shape the tubing for the bottom support for the airbags. By the time we're done, we're probably going to use over 100 feet of tubing. Such an angel, I need a big halo.
Everybody know you got the devil in you.
Hey. We have a good idea for the design that's drilled and tapped. We're going to weld the back piece to the frame. We're going to bend some more DOM to come down as a bag mounts. What that's going to do is make it structurally strong and just give it a cool look that everything's rolled and flows together. Beautiful. John, you a bad mofo.
I know.
Once John welds all this DOM piping in place, we're going to check these 4 links with the bag mounts. All right, we got our spacer out of the way. Let it down a little bit, John. This will articulate how the 4 link's going to keep it all squared. as the bag raises, the rear end will go down like this. And then when you let the pressure out of the bag, this will show the rear end in full motion, articulating all the way through. And that's how this finished air suspension system is going to raise this truck up about 10 inches. There's another thing to this build. We went really aggressive with the bars, the way everything's bent, so we couldn't do no standard shock. We've got the 4.0 shocks, the piggyback tubes, everything's all in one unit. These shocks are made to go through the desert, through the Bajas, through the jumping. Any way he wants to drive, the suspension, the shocks, the bags, 100% he will have no problems. We're gonna tear it apart and get it color matched. We'll break it all down, send it out to powder coat, then we'll reassemble it later.
With the supercharger installed on Lindsay's 2016 Escalade, I'm gonna have Charlie start working on the trim. And I wanna pull off all the chrome, I wanna paint it like an anodized look.
So we're doing all the trim black anodized.
Yeah, the factory trim with the wheels,
Right,
the grill, every piece of the chrome.
All right, cool. I got you. Let's get to it.
Charlie's gonna start out by spraying these parts black, then he's gonna spray a chrome, then the last coat is gonna be a transparent black right over the top, gives it a transparent anodized look.
This is the black base for the mirror chrome. Get us some good coats on there before we start spraying the chrome on there. And then from there, then you do your candy concentrate in your clear, and then you just clear it until you get the desired color you're looking for.
I got everybody available working on this Escalade. We're trying to get the trim, the wheels, and that it's ready. Lindsay's definitely not the type of guy that waits for delivery, so I told him to come on, swing by the shop. And I can't wait to see this reaction. Whatever it might be, I can't wait to see it.
Man, my man Bill. Ooh, Bill. Now you only get one here. My dude. Woo.
Drop me. I guess you
Man.
like it.
That's Mac Daddy Nasty.
First things first, you see you coming down the road, you see the grill. We couldn't have you riding around with that stock grill in there. Everybody's got that, man. Little matte black mesh, man, with the little anodized insert. Man, it just really sets the whole tone of the whole thing.
It's like a whole different truck, man.
Man, it is. Just like the grill, we took off all the chrome to give it that anodized black look, man.
That changed the whole look.
It does. 26-inch billet wheels.
Yeah.
These are one-off wheels cut especially for you. There's nobody else that has these. No one.
Bill put the lens cut on it, and he anodized them to match the anodize.
Got a 4-inch drop on it, man.
Make it easy for me to get in. I appreciate that, dog. That's good looking out. Rain and love, baby.
You gotta check it out under the hood here.
I'm done with you, man. I'm done with you, Bill. Oh, man.
This thing hauls. Supercharger under the hood. It'll leave 2 black marks down the street. It's all intercooled, so it just sucks the cold air in.
Yeah.
Forces it right in the motor.
Extensive. They put their stamp on it, man. He really did an outstanding, spectacular job, man. I'm excited. We need to take it out. Well, let's do it.
Let's go.
Man, are you kidding me? What I'm talking about?
Told you the thing.
Are you kidding me right now? It didn't stop. Still rides really good. Like right now, I mean, from the grill to the wheels, and then top it off with big power under the hood. I might just drive it, just to drive for no reason. I won't have nowhere to go, but just start driving. I might drive in a circle. Yeah, just to drive it. Your guys are just priceless, man, and I'm super proud.
Every one of us bust our ass. That's what it's about, man.
That's what it's about.
Making a team, creating the goal, and making it to the goal, man. And that's what we do.
The lift is all built for Tom's F-250. Now I'm fabricating the bar for these marine speakers that are going to go in the bed. We're going to tack it together, bolt the whole thing into the truck bed to see how it looks. What we're trying to do is put the speakers in the bed without making any more holes. So what we're done is using the bed bolts here to bolt this down. We'll mount them in the corner here, which is a factory lift hooks. And when this goes together, it's gonna lock and make a really solid mount for these speakers to sit on. We're gonna remove the whole thing as one piece. Once it's welded up, we're sending this and all the suspension parts we made to get powder coated.
Check that out, man.
We had 28-inch wheels custom made for Tom's F-250. We finished making the suspension lift. These are some of the last things needed for the build. Jewelry for the truck.
That is bad.
It is bad. 28 by 16 with the 42-inch tire. He's gonna freak out.
That massive polished wheel is gonna bring it all together as a finished product.
Yeah.
Our tire machine. Lou and I are gonna do the old-fashioned way. Here, we'll put it on the ground, use some pry bars. Just really soak it real good, and it should slide right over. Now we're just gonna take these pry bars, we're gonna work our way around. Now we have the wheel over it. All we're gonna do is put air in it, air it up. That's old-fashioned tire mounting, 101. Done.
Making custom door panels for Tom's truck. We're going to keep the top half factory. We're going to make new lower portions. Once I'm done, it's going to be seamless. You won't be able to tell where mine ends and theirs begins. You gotta be real careful not to glue your fingers to everything, because it happens. Now, we'll just continue that all the way around. Now that I've got the shape I want, I'm going to go ahead and glass it up to give it an extra strength. That's it. Then I'm going to go ahead and smooth it out and get it ready to wrap. Now that that's dry, I'm going to go ahead and spray on the contact cement. Ain't no stopping now. So it matches the top part of the door. Have our base of our panel wrapped. Now we're going to do our acrylic. Double piece of double stick on here. I'm going to start routing it out right now. We want to match the pearl white of the truck, so we're going to highlight the door panels with some white acrylic. Cut out our acrylic. You can kind of see how it's going to fit in here. Lines up with the speakers, and then it leaves us our gap for our lighting that's going to go around the side and light this puppy up. Look good.
We've broken down the lift and suspension on Tom's F-250. Now it's off to powder. You know, Tom's the type of guy that's not going to cut this truck any slack. That's why we chose powder over paint. It's a way more durable finish.
So we've been powder coating stuff for Extensive for a long time. We actually prep the parts by hang them up, magnetize the parts so that the actual powder will adhere to the actual metal. Holds up with rocks, it holds up with water, it holds up with salt. It's a lot more durable. Now everything's been powder coated. We're getting ready to put it back in the oven at about 400 degrees for about 20 minutes once the metal temperature reaches the 400. And then once that's done, we'll take them out, let them cool off, and hopefully Extensive will be happy with them.
We got the console for the F-250 back from paint. We got some cool lights installed. Now we're going to load up the subwoofer. Ready? All I got left now is I got to put the lights up top, do the wiring for the subwoofers. Then we're going to put the plexiglass on the side, finish this console out. In Texas, we love our guns. We got caulking guns. Go ahead and seal this up. All right, ready? very careful because we can't move it. Got it? Here we go. There she is. Isn't that pretty? And you can see once we get this cut out of our white acrylic, it's going to go in here and cover up all this nastiness. And then all you can see is the prettiness.
We have a new custom bumper for the F-250. Charlie's going to color match it pearl white.
This system here, you can actually go in and look up the colors by vehicle if you don't actually have the paint code. And then it tells you the grams of each toner that you're going to put in there. In this case, we're going to need 259 grams of this super white. It's just a little bit. And this one just takes a little touch. As you can see, there's a lot of different colors that go into something as simple as just white. That should be the perfect match that we need to get the color we need to put on these parts so we can get them painted and we can get them back on the truck.
You know, in my life, I push everything to the limit. I strive every day to build something as small as a trike that we work on. After we design and build them, we got to test it out. You know, we work hard, we play hard, we're at our best when we do both. That's just another fun part of the business. I mean, we have a great time and totally blessed with what we do. It's cool to blow off some steam and just get out and do some donuts and crash into each other. You feel like you're 8 years old again on it. You know, this type of stress relief isn't for everybody, but it works really well for me. Then we dust ourselves off, get right back to work. All the parts and pieces for Tom's F-250 are back from chrome, powder, and paint. We're going to put them all back together right now. As a final custom touch, we're going to put a ton of LED lights up underneath this thing. After dark, this thing's going to look like it's coming from outer space. I'm going to run 24 LED rock lights. It's going to be high, so everybody's going to be able to look underneath this. So we don't need no wires. So anybody looks right there, it doesn't look like any wires.
Oh, what we have right here is the factory Ford front fender well. The middle ones are actually going to be for the front wheel. You know, to cover the front wheel. The sides are going to be for all the custom pieces that they fabricated.
We really want to highlight all the chrome accents on the white, so it's just going to make it pop right off.
Tom brought in his brand new F-250 bone stock. He had to have something just stood out over the top. I definitely think we're going to meet his expectations. We built this truck for Tom as a billboard for his company and for play. So we're going to meet him at the off-road park. This is where all the trucks, side-by-sides, and four-wheelers in Houston come. This truck's going to stand above them all.
Come on, man.
Today is the day.
And it's a nice day, and we're at the mud park, man. Come on, man. I didn't build this just for show.
You wanted a huge lift, huge tires, big stereo.
I needed it to make a statement when I pulled up.
You want the flashiness. No doubt we fulfilled that for you.
Bill invited me out here to the Extreme Off-Road Park to see my truck for the first time. I'm expecting something crazy. It better not be too clean, too, because we're going to get him dirty.
Man, let's get Timmy and bring this thing in.
Oh, that was 28. Yeah. Come on, man.
28-inch wheels with a 42-inch tall tire.
Man, look at the lip on that thing, man.
Those are one of the first of these known.
You better buy stock and dish soap, so I'm going to keep them dishes clean. And fun bags. When he came up and hit them bags, I was definitely excited. Timmy, look at this thing. Wow, man, this thing.
Like it?
I love it.
We start off building the whole suspension is 100% all handmade in the shop.
I see that. Man, Bill gave us a lot of free rein and to get crazy with the pipe roller on this.
Man, ain't nothing like this out there.
I mean, the 4-link, the little drop down, huge 4-inch triple bypass shocks.
I'm about to have a bypass right now.
New bumper, color match grill.
I'm getting a little emotional right now. This thing looks so good.
There's another special in the bed for you. You said you wanted something you can listen to, hang out at a place like this?
I do. We mounted 4 marine grade speakers in the bed.
You can unbolt it out of the factory bolts right there, pull it out if you need to haul something big, and bolt it back in.
Man, I ain't gonna be pulling that thing out, man. That's gonna stay in there.
On the interior.
He did a good job on these doors.
Those factory?
Check out the back of this thing.
I can see all the way through that.
Yeah.
Speakers in there.
The subs are in the console. You see all the floating amps.
I know it looks good. Let me hear
Check it out.
Let me hear it.
Everybody's gonna hear him coming.
That hurt your ears or what?
Man, still ringing, still ringing.
That's many hours of hard labor.
I can tell.
Everybody in the shop you pitched in that really pulls through for you.
Yeah, I see something here that I'm going to have for a long time. I can't thank Bill and his team enough. Man, they do awesome work. Every one of them puts every bit of heart into this. I mean, it looks so good. I need to drive it, though.
Let's check this thing out, man.
Man, wipe your feet. Let's go.
Come on, man. We do a big 8.
Is that for the 28 time?
That's for the 2-8.
Get in. I'm in the clouds.
Hell yeah. Look around, man. It's all eyes on you.
Met your standards? Man, thank you, bro. Met my standards, man. This is above my standards.
I'm glad you love Big Rack.
So I get to have all the fun.
All right, just remember, I like bling.
Oh, I know you do.
What do you have, a 69 Corvette there?
Sure is. Unbolt the body off the frame and build a whole new chassis, new suspension. We gotta wake this thing up.
Oh, I'm caught on something.
About 420 horsepower. This thing's a huge improvement.
I think it's gonna be cool as hell when it's finished.
What did you do to my car? I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal. You know, 20-something years ago, I never shop business. It just kind of evolved into what it is, and I definitely never thought I'd have a cool sound like that. I mean, that's impressive.
Now we know where we got to go to work at.
You know, I can't say enough about my team, my guys. You know, we're all a big family. I can't say anything else, but I've been totally blessed. What do you guys think? Pretty cool, huh? You know, things have been going really good at the shop. This is just a sign of that. I feel like my business is actually legitimized now that you get an actual sign up on the building. You know, it's crazy to think, growing up on this property, I never, ever thought it would ever become what it is. You know, coming from where I come from, I come to work with a mindset, this can all go away. You know, we gotta stay hungry. We've been super busy, busier than ever. All these builds coming into the shop, every one of them is an opportunity to push our creativity even more. Big John said he might be in the neighborhood today, so he's just stopping by to check on progress.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
What's happening, John?
Same old, same old. How's everything?
Going good. How's that old milk truck doing?
Wonderful. I mean, it looks great. Runs good.
Good,
Family
man. That's
love.
always good to hear.
Wow.
Things transformed a little bit from when it came in.
It looks totally different.
John's 1950 Ford F5 came in rough shape. It's taken months of work to get it to this point. It's just one of the coolest COEs you can find anywhere. You know, COEs have gotten pretty popular lately in the custom scene. The COE means cab over engine, which the engine sits way back and it has a short snub nose and sits up a little higher than, you know, a regular 1-ton truck. As far as the interior, we got the dash all smoothed out. You know, it had a bunch of holes in the dash and a bunch of crap everywhere.
Fantastic.
John's had just about every kind of custom car, and he really is drawn to the COEs because they're totally different. He bought this truck online. Someone grafted another set of front doors onto the back. Then we picked it up from there. New latches on it, new door handles.
It's going to be beautiful.
You know, once we get the front end back on, we'll build you some running boards that tie right back into the bed, bolt right up. You see, we already got the basic shape and style here, but we're going to build a headache rack that goes over it and then molds into the bed also.
All right, just remember, I like bling. You know.
Oh, I know you do. And what color are you thinking on this? I know you have a color preference.
Rob and I, we've been leaning towards an orange.
Just a bright orange?
Bright orange. No, nobody else has a 1950 crew cab like mine. When I see what he's done so far in the mid-build, I'm really getting excited to see the finished product.
And we got a little surprise for you back here. Well, we're going to keep that a surprise, too.
I knew you'd do that. We're there with it. I know Bill's going to do a fantastic job on it. He's got some surprises for me. And he didn't let me down on the milk truck. I don't expect him to let me down on this one. I'm going to let you get after it. See you later. Take care. See you later.
Good to see you, John.
Bye-bye.
Cool part about having a custom shop is getting to letting your creativity shine. When long projects like this, where you're doing body work all day, you're doing metal work all day, I hate it. I'm an instant gratification guy. I want to see progress every day. We've done a ton of work to this to get to this stage. This is really starting to where it gets fun, but you know, the work isn't over. The work's just starting on a different level. That all is part of the puzzle along the way. Getting to the end of the puzzle is a big Man, oh, Big John seemed like he was pretty happy about the bed when he stopped by.
Man, I saw you over here talking. He looked overall happy with the whole truck.
Yeah, he loves it.
Gentlemen, here we are again.
You already know this thing's been here a while. It's been a long road to get this thing to where it was at. You know, it was old rat rod style, just nothing fit, nothing lined up.
50% done?
Just about that. Once it's in this stage, man, I really think we're on the downhill slope for sure. We're going to build a cool custom headache rack to fit the side of the cab, to make it fit this truck. I want to incorporate a wood bed on top of this, but not just sitting on top. I want it recessed down into the bed, and I want to bring that wood down on the running boards also.
Man, that'll be a cool touch.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do that. Plus, it makes it look like it all goes with the truck. It all ties through. So, anything else you're thinking?
You know, Big John told me he's got to have the bling, so he wants chrome accents everywhere. Chrome grill, chrome bumpers, chrome mirrors, chrome handles. You know, with a nice bright orange, this thing is going to be really cool and stand out.
You want everything bright, shiny?
Absolutely. Okay. So we definitely... We're going with the Western Holler look. A real clean flatbed with a little something extra. It's time to get John busy on this metal work.
So, man.
Ready to get going on this thing?
Yes, sir.
Now's the fun part. Now we can really start to get creative with this thing and show what we can do.
So I get to have all the fun?
Yeah, exactly. What I want to do is incorporate, like bed wood in a flatbed. And I also want you to start building the running boards on this. I want wood in the set in the running boards too. So you can actually use it. You can step on it and not have to worry about messing the paint up. I think bringing the color of the wood as a contrast to the bright orange paint that's going to be on here, this thing is really going to stand out. Be a huge surprise for him.
So we're going to have to use nothing but the finest orange tree wood.
We're leaving it up to you, buddy.
It's time to get to work. So what I'm gonna do first is cut me out a piece of square tubing for this outside edge, and then start cutting out everything else I need to bolt that to the cab, bolt onto the fender, bolt onto the bed, so it's removable. What I want this to do is fit real snug up against here. Just almost perfect, and then hit it with a grinder to make it perfect. This is it. This is gonna be the perfect fit. The design we're going with on the running board is gonna kind of represent the shape of the bed. We're gonna have some nice sharp corners in its design. So once this is all tacked up in place, I'll break these bars off and you'll be able to see what I've created on this outside edge. So the purpose of these marks that I'm making is just a reference of where I need to bend it. I'll hit it on the opposite side of that mark, which will bend it the way that I need it to hug this fender tightly. This fender likes tight hugs, in case you're wondering. Now we gotta poke some holes. Now I got the structure of the running board. I'm gonna throw some ribs in here to connect the outside to the inside where it's gonna be bolted up to the cab and start building the frame for the wood inserts.
What's that?
So, we're gonna have to take a little tamale break. We'll be back to you shortly.
On the bed of this COE, I want the design to flow from the front, seamless wood inlay.
Now I got the running board drawn out. Now I know exactly how to shape the wood inserts that are gonna get cut out on the CNC table. After we cut our blanks out of MDF just to build off of, we use cheap MDF. That way there's no worries if it gets burnt and messed up. We could go back and cut the hardwood out with the same file, and it'll be the exact same dimensions. And all we have to do is drop those in for final assembly. Let's see what we got here. Nice. Now I'm gonna start making all the metal trim that goes around here. What we're about to do is cut out some 18 gauge sheet metal. And then we're gonna cut down some strips about 1 inch wide, break it right in the middle and make 90-degree angles. And what I'm gonna do is form that to fit around those wood templates that we got. So we can set that into the running board. And what this is gonna be is just a big frame for the wood. This is gonna look really nice.
You know, one of the cool parts about being this busy, we get the chance to really work on some iconic rides. You know, some of them we never even had a chance to work on before, and putting our spin on them for the... Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? Josh, just driving in from Austin. Nice to meet you, Bill.
Nice to meet you.
Tim. Hey, Tim, nice to meet you.
What do you have, a 69 Corvette there?
Sure is.
Well, let's check it out.
All right.
The 69 Stingray was part of the third generation of Corvettes. At the time, it was the height of American muscle. Man, it's a good-looking car.
Thanks.
And these old Stingrays are always going to be classic. Just the body lines, the way everything looks, they're just an iconic car.
Yeah, I got that ducktail rear end.
They're timeless. Like, you can have them another 50 years and they'll still be a style.
Yeah, this was a classic year.
Josh, what are you seeing, man? You want to change the color on this thing, or?
No, I like the color. I think it's got a pretty good paint job. But being from Austin, you know, just all the hills and stuff, it needs to drive better.
Definitely.
Man, this car is really special to me. I got it from a friend, and, you know, it looks great. The car just stops traffic. If it drove as good as it looks, that would be my dream.
Heck yeah. So keep the original look, just with a lot of performance.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Josh, I think to make this thing really, really cool, handle good, ride good, we just need to unbolt the body off the frame and just start over. Build a whole new chassis, new suspension, and make this thing really exciting to drive.
You can do that?
Hell yeah.
That would be fantastic.
And the side pipe
look, yeah.
I mean, it looks great, but man, they're a little tired. I think maybe even making these things out of stainless, polish them up, would just be a total package then.
Boy, I wasn't really thinking about that when I rolled up, but now that you mention it, man, that just makes the picture perfect.
Josh, what we got under the hood?
Let me show you. You can see it's just a stock 350.
Out of the factory, the 69 Stingray, with its fiberglass body and its small block, made it top of the line. However, these days, we can do a lot better. Man, Josh, with the brand new frame, new suspension, we need something with a lot more power. I'm thinking LS in this thing and really wake it up.
Man, if you're gonna do all that, it's gonna need a 6-speed in it.
Yeah.
You put a 6-speed in this car being so light, it's just gonna be fun to drive.
Man, that'd be a 1-2 punch. Man, this thing, you're gonna be able to just get in it, turn the key, and go all the way to California if you want to. All that power in Austin, up and down those hills. Man, am I excited.
And the inside looks good. Just the only thing you need is a stereo in this thing. Something with a nice sound in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it wide open to you. I know y'all come up with something.
Josh, if that sounds good, man, let's get this thing unloaded and get going. Let's make it happen.
All right, Bill. Nice to meet you, Josh. Thanks, Tim.
Yes, sir.
Some years on it, but this thing still has great styling. It looks really good, in great shape. You know, this old vet like this is always going to be just timeless. The body itself it's a work of art. In the 60s, you know, this thing was top of the line. You know, everybody talks about how much power they had, how well it handled. You know, that's all you hear growing up. To today's standards, you know, a family sedan is outperforming this thing right off the assembly line. And, you know, that's sad.
Hey, go ahead and top it off for me when you're done.
This guy. Look good in there, Rudy.
Like my new car?
Whole lot better than them glasses.
What are you talking about? You guys don't know anything about style.
Well, what does have style is a 1969 Corvette, right?
Oh, yeah.
What isn't stylish is the suspension under this thing.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that.
We got to wake this thing up. We're going to start by lifting this thing up, unbolting the chassis, dropping it down, and rolling it out and starting fresh. We'll get some metal off the shelf and just start building a new frame for this thing. We're hand making a better performance. We got to be super careful with this fiberglass shell, or it'll create a ton of structural issues. A 20-inch wheel and tire with some meat on the back of this thing.
Something to put the power to the ground.
That's it. New independent front suspension, front and rear. New engine, manual transmission.
We're just gonna rip out everything old on this thing and give it a new extensive style.
That's it. We're gonna keep the body of this thing. I mean, look at it. It's in great shape. I mean, it's showing some wear, though.
Yeah.
We're going to wet sand and buff it and just make it look like it would have looked in 1969.
It's going to look good.
Well, let's get this thing up on the lift. Let's get going on and get it tore down. Start building this thing. Don't forget your safety glasses.
Man, go ahead and take them off so y'all stop ridiculing me on me. My cool glasses. We'll be back, baby. Yo, Tim!
I'm coming.
The fiberglass body is already fragile. With this 50-year-old fiberglass body, we got to be super careful.
All right, got it.
When you're tearing apart a chassis on a metal body, no problem. Shape this, hammer that, make it work. Totally different with the fiberglass body. You got to work with what's there. There's no shaping this. There's no reconstructing without causing yourself a whole lot of issues later. With the whole frame, might leave this. That'll hold the radiator, the whole spot, and everything.
Yeah, I'll just take this one, wipe it off.
And Rudy, that bolt's never coming out.
Between the fiberglass and all these bolts, a lot of people would think twice before tearing this chassis out. However, that's not to say it doesn't need replacing.
Most of these bolts are weathered and rusted together. So if this car would have been metal, it'd probably be rusted through.
What do you think?
Let's find out. Here, go up. Whoa! Caught on something.
Tim and Rudy pulling out the chassis of the 1969 Stingray so we can build one custom. As usual around here, it's easier said than done.
A lot of these boats have nuts on the backside of them, which are tucked in behind little small crevices. Oh, right here for the body mount in the back. And if you look in here, there's one more bolt here for the body. I mean, look at that. Once you take that lid off, you come to find out this car used to actually be yellow. The secrets you find tearing these cars apart.
Corvettes, just one thing after another. You never would have thought it had taken this long just to find all the bolts, but we're going to get this body separated here in about 5 minutes.
Ready? Ready. Keep on. We're good. Let's do it. All right. Ready to roll this thing out? Gladly. Check it out, Tim.
It looks really good, Rudy.
Make sure it don't hit the ground. Perfect.
One of the first steps in the whole frame building process is finding out where everything goes. We make most of our custom chassis on a table before we install them. You know, there's not a lot of room underneath this fiberglass body, so we got doing something we don't normally do. We're going to build the chassis right to the body. You know, that way it's going to fit 100% on the first try. So the first thing's finding center of the fender well for the wheel and spindle.
Hey, we need to go back just a hair.
This way?
Yeah.
There's a lot of adjusting, a lot of tweaking, a lot of moving to find that sweet spot. Man, I like how that looks on this car. Everything is exactly in line, both directions. We know exactly how much room we have to build the frame around. So next step is to get started.
We got some 2x4 tubing. We're gonna run down both sides, connect it across the back, then we'll build the rear subframe off of that.
Go ahead and just plasma it out real quick.
So we're going to plasma out the tubing so the DOM can slide in here. We'll cut a little bigger so we'll have room to play. That's what's going to connect the body to the frame rails.
Just to go to the bottom of the car, the bolts to go through and hold it tight. When we drop the frame, we'll weld the tops all the way around.
This is going to be our 4-link mount. This is what's going to connect the rear subframe to the main frame of the car. Now the structure of the 4-link mount is made. This is the rear subframe. This will be the main frame. With the whole frame welded out, this frame's going to be extra strong and be perfect for what Josh wants to do in the hills of just and see what he can do.
I bet your favorite teacher was an arts and crafts teacher, huh?
No, not really, because she was an old, mean-ass lady. John's made great progress on the F5 COE bed, so now we can move to the headache rack. You know, the truck itself has some great styling, so we're going to emulate that into the style and curves in the back, the little headache rack. You know, there's the inside and outside to this thing, so I want to get the inside piece to have the exact same line as the outside. It's super difficult to get in between there and kind of get back and trace, so thinking I'll use just a light and a little shadow right there. We'll have a perfect line to trace, and then it'll match up perfect.
Now we got everything traced out. Now it's time to cut out these metal parts. Since these pieces are so big, you got to kind of plan out where you're going to cut first and where you're going to end until the big pieces fall. And always make sure you wear steel-toe boots when stuff is landing on you. When I first started out welding, when I was young, maybe like 12, 13, my dad told me, I'm getting you a grinder for Christmas. I seen your welds. Damn.
Tack it in, have it right up against it, and that'll just naturally curve up. Alright, cool. Get that other piece up here. This thing's really taking shape. I love the flow of it. It fits the truck very well. So the next step is just making a bunch of filler pieces.
And make the final cap at the corner.
Not only is this curved this way, but it's also twisted as it curves. So it got me some reference marks drawn out there. And once I connect them from side to side, you'll see how I'm gonna have to force my brakes in this metal to make it roll and kind of twist at the same time. gonna take it over to the English wheel, form it a little bit. On the English wheel, the top wheel is flat, and the bottom wheel has a contour to it. And as you roll the metal through here, it kind of shapes the sheet metal to the lower wheel and gives it that radius that the lower wheel has. I mean, sure, you could go put this on and you want it to be smooth, so this is the best way of doing that. Now we gotta weld this out, but we can't run a consistent bead because it'll generate too much heat, so we gotta move it around. If not, this piece will just deform on you, warp, and it won't look too well.
Always good to see progress on these big builds. The headache rack and bed are taking shape on this F5 COE. So much to the point we can plot out where the wood's gonna be. We're gonna get this wood laid out.
Yep.
We'll go with all the same spacing that's on the running boards, 2 inch on the outer side, 1.5 inch on the inside, just to give a little style to it.
Yeah.
You don't want to give John something a little different, something nobody's really seen before that shows everyone we don't take a car in just to get it done. We want to build it with passion.
Now we got all the big pieces of floor out. Now I got to notch all the bracing down about 1 inch to accommodate the 3/4 inch hardwood that's going to go in there, plus the bracing that I got to build around it. We don't want these bracing to fill up with water when you're driving in the rain, if you get caught in the rain. So we got to cap it, seal it up, and then once that's done, we can build all the frame for the wood inserts. That's why Daddy gave me a grinder all those years ago. Thanks, Dad.
Because we're building the chassis of the 1969 Corvette directly to the body of the car, we're going to put the motor and trans in place and build everything else around it. Came in, huh?
I did.
2012 Camaro, about 420 horsepower. This thing's a huge improvement.
Man, 6-speed, the car's so short, low to the ground, and all the new suspension, it's just going to run, drive like a little go-kart all the time. All we do now is slide it in, get it leveled, and I think we're ready. Go back a little bit. Ooh. You hit right there now. Catching the top a little bit. Hit the back up. Tight. Man, it's a whole lot of power in this car. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of fun with this motor. You talking about whenever you level it up and get it centered? Good job. No, man, I'm talking about when I'm driving it. Our next step is to put a cross member for the chassis that'll hold both sides together and keep the engine in place. So I just went ahead and drew my center line. That way I know when I match everything up, everything's gonna be nice and straight, center, parallel. Center lines are your best friends. Level this. We look centered in the wheel well, Rudy? Yeah. We're attaching our final pieces to connect our front frame section to our actual frame. Normally people would usually just use 2 mounts, but we're gonna go ahead and reinforce it with 3, only because it's a fiberglass body, and so any vibration can start cracking at any point. All we have to do now is make a pipe that's gonna connect the bracket to the frame. I like to grab a little small piece of copper tubing, because it's easy for me to work the shape out by hand. We want to keep the front end as rigid as possible. We don't want this fiberglass to crack. Once the fiberglass cracks, this thing is whack. So I have my pipes cut out. Now I have to go ahead and bend it to match this angle. And then we'll just throw a little weld on there. Our piece is going to be bending underneath the radiator here. That looks pretty good, Rudy. Building the chassis to the Corvette body took some extra engineering, but now it's super strong and in the perfect place to build the front suspension off of. Do your thing, weld it out right there. Cool, let's do it. You do it with a bare coilover, it's easier just for everything to clear. And a lot of the Pro Touring cars, the high-powered cars that are trying to get into the corners and make it handle real stiff, they're going to these coilovers, which is we're going to do the same on this car. What this is going to do is the spring will hold the car up. If we raise this up, car raise up 1 inch. You want to lower the car, it'll allow the spring to collapse the same amount, and the car actually lower. What the shock does, this just keeps the car solid. If you want a little stiffer ride, you add a little bit more shock. Less, you add a little less shock. So it's a perfect setup for these Pro Touring style cars.
front suspension in place, we can fit the C4 differential to the rear. Things looking good. You know, that's perfect placement for this thing. But we're so limited of room underneath here. You know, by the time we get the lower arms on, the spindles on, the 4-link, you know, we want the coilover back up front. So the body here is in the way. And so let's go ahead and cut all this out so we got plenty of room to mock the shock up. And this is one of the last things we got to do to this chassis. Rudy, you be able to ride in style. Put them glasses back on.
Where are your glasses? He yelled back to my sister.
To leave the classic body, stock. But if we had to cut anything, it'd be the storage boxes that sit behind the seat that folks hardly used anyway. Because we need so much more room for the coilover and a couple extra braces, we're just going to take these boxes completely out of the way, and all the structure of the car is going to stay up in here. So we kept all that. These storage boxes, they can go in and won't hurt nothing at all.
Because we went with a wider wheel and a lot deeper offset, there's a whole lot less real estate underneath the 69 Corvette for the suspension. So we're going to have to modify the C4 suspension that we're putting in this to fit perfect.
Now we have the rear end locked up in place. What we're going to do is put a spindle on the wheel, put the wheel up here in place, and make sure the wheel is centered in the wheel well. You know, we don't want the wheel too far out, but then obviously it's going to hit the outside of the fender. It's going to either tear up our fiberglass or it's going to start tearing up our tire on our wheel. We definitely don't need that. Is that where you want it, Rick? Look good? Level, center in the wheel well? Yeah. Now everything's set right where we want it. First thing we're going to do is make the bars that connect the frame to the spindle, which is going to be the 4-link. Our center pieces for our 4-links, typically they're a little bit longer than this, but with our car being so small and compact, is what we're going to get. But it's going to work. So go ahead and tack these up, weld them all out. Now the 4-links will be done. Want to trace the top of this? When you're driving down the road, you want the wheels to be in alignment at all times. So I'm making a camber bar to give the suspension more rigidity. How's that look?
That's good out here.
So moving on, we're going to go ahead and start installing our coilover.
For the most part, the rear suspension is fitting well, except for the drive shafts that are just too big. Rudy's going to cut these, use them for mock-up. We'll take them to the drive shaft specialist to have brand new ones made.
And there she goes. Cutting, cutting. Woo! Perfect. We're going to keep this one. We're going to measure 1 3/4 and cut it out. Cool, there we go. It's the excess we don't need no more, so we'll get rid of that. This is what we need now. Mock it up on the car. That'll be our mock-up drive shaft.
Ooh, this thing looking good. You know, the new frame looks so nice and rigid. This thing is going to be a blast to drive around on the hills and through the curves. So you ready to get it separated? Let's get this thing off the powder coat and really make it shine.
Successfully remove the body from the frame. A whole lot easier than doing it from the factory frame.
The chassis is just getting back from powder coat, so I got Justin making brand new headers and side pipes. It'll give it a meaner, way more custom look.
So we're about to start the build on these headers for the 69 Corvette. It's going to be a side-mounted exhaust with the muffler integrated into it. One of the key things on building a set of custom headers is you need to look and find out which one's going to be your hardest tube to place. In this case right here, it's going to be this front runner. So we're going to start from right here, and we're going to build this tube all the way out to hold our collect until we get the other 3 out. You can see right here, we got a lot of bends and twists on this exhaust system. Reason being is we have a lot of components that we need to try to avoid, like our steering shaft, our motor mount. So we're gonna end up doing some 45s or some pretty steep bends to get it to clear. These things are gonna be crazy looking when we get done with them. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go ahead and get this first tube marked. We're gonna go to the table and tack it. Then we're gonna start tacking our next tube until we get out to our collector. You know, I mean, it's a lot of cutting, welding, grinding, until you end up with a finished product that you're happy with. What we're using is a 304 stainless material. The material we're using is twice as thick almost as your traditional headers. Stainless is a little bit tougher to cut, so it's a little bit harder on your blades, and the welding process is totally different. I'm using a TIG weld to give it a cleaner, smaller seam than a regular weld, and that's what you're looking for on exposed stainless steel headers. But the finished product is you got a header that'll last forever, it won't rust, and it looks cool as hell when it's finished. Alright, now that we got everything tacked up, we can go ahead and test fit it on the car, make sure everything's good, and then work on our side pipes. We can start from our V-band down, and that's going to be the fun part where we'll get to add the muffler, kind of quieten it down a little bit so it sounds a little bit more street friendly. From here, we're going to go ahead and slide a 3-inch tube in here to come out almost to the end of where our side exit is going to be. What we're going to end up doing is sliding a 4-inch tube over the 3-inch tube, and what that's going to do, it's going to serve as a heat shield to help protect his leg if he ever touches it. After this is welded out and polished, it's just going to look like one straight 4-inch pipe from the collector all the way out to the tip. We'll go ahead and weld these out, repeat the process on the other side, and these pipes will be good to go.
Now that we got this 1969 Corvette to 21st century performance standards, it's time to fix that stereo. So John's gonna make a handmade modern day speaker box.
You know, a Corvette is all about its nice smooth lines and curves. So same thing with the box. We don't want just a square enclosure in here. We're gonna put a little something to it, still make it nice and rugged and durable and usable. What I'm doing here is I'm just kind of sketching out my shape that I want on the front of this box. This is actually going to be the front side where the seats sit. Once I get the sides cut, the next thing I'll do is actually cut the opening in the top here and let it follow the curve that I put in this side panel here. So basically when I'm kerfing something, I just move my saw blade every 1/4 inch so it leaves enough meat in there to hold together. If you go in too deep, it'll end up breaking off. So you want to make sure you just get the right height set on your blade and just move the fence over and over and over.
You know, me growing up, no really direction of what I want to do. I know I didn't want to go to college. That college wasn't for me.
Sure wasn't for me either. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even finish high school. You know, I got halfway there, and I couldn't learn by reading a book or listening to a teacher or anything. The only way I learned was by using my hands.
Yeah.
And my dad, fortunately, had a shop established already, so after school I would go and mess around with stuff. He seen what I could do, and my mom seen what I could do, and they figured I was wasting teachers' time, so...
Yeah, and everybody learns different. You know, for me, it's getting out, making the mistakes, and learning from the mistakes.
Exactly.
You know, that's how I learned doing what we do. That's how you get good at doing what you do, is making those mistakes, and everybody's going to make them. Learn from them. Go from there. Better yourself from that.
Messed up a whole lot of stuff, huh?
Right? Still do. You see a lot of Corvette bodies laying around custom shops totally unfinished. And now we definitely know why. Adding custom suspension and a chassis is a lot of work. To my team's credit, we're almost through the tunnel. Once John's finished installing the custom speaker box, it's time to give this thing back to Josh.
This thing's turned out looking awesome. So all I got left to do now is carry it over, plug it in, set it in the car, and I think he's gonna like it. Oh, squeeze. Thanks, sir.
Already?
Man, like a glove. Might need to wash the car a little bit.
definitely a challenge for us. But man, just looking at the stance of this car and just the overall look at it, we definitely all did our job. This thing looks badass.
Deal, Bill. Look at that.
What's happening, man?
Hey, how you doing, dude? What did you do to my car? I love it.
What do you think, man?
Man, oh man. You outdid yourself.
Man, you got here just in time. I thought Rudy's going to take off with it.
I would too if I were to.
Me and her had a good emotional connection. So I took really good care of her for you.
Oh, it looks like it. Oh, man. This is fantastic. You know, I really like the look of the car, and I didn't really know how it was going to turn out, but now I'm really tickled.
Yeah, working on this car was a complete new experience for us. With it being a fiberglass body, we had to be extra precautious, even just tearing it down.
I mean, it definitely had some challenges. Took out that old engine, took out the old chassis. We just had this thing up on the lift, leveled it all up, and started building the frame piece by piece to the car.
Boy, it ought to drive like a rocket.
Man, absolutely. We know you wanted that C4 suspension on this thing, you know, with the upper and lower aluminum control arms, aluminum spindle. It looks really cool underneath the car, especially with the addition of the coilovers on this thing.
No kidding.
Everything underneath this car is 100% brand new.
Oh, that's what I wanted.
These wheels and tires are a huge upgrade too with the low pro to 20s. That's really going to help the handling of this thing also.
Yeah, they almost look stock. Yeah. On the outside, it still looks like a 69 Vet. And then you start looking through the wheels and you start seeing body parts that you know don't go on that car. Yeah. They're super upgraded.
Especially the side pipes on this thing too. The other ones, you know, just were tired. Need to upgrade. You definitely got that.
And y'all custom made those?
We had Justin build you a one-off set of headers and side pipes on this thing that really just wake this thing up.
No kidding. Those crazy side pipes and headers are unbelievable. Built by hand, one of a kind. How's it run?
Man, that old tired 350 in that thing is long gone. You got a new 6.2 in here, has a ton of horsepower. We know you like the manual transmission. You know, I had a 4-speed in it, now it has a 6-speed. So this thing's gonna be fun to drive.
I'll bet. Yeah, you did me a custom shifter too. That's really cool.
You know, with all this extra power, I know you're gonna spend a lot of time in this thing, so we definitely had to upgrade the stereo in this thing. It's got 6-inch full range speakers and 1,000 watts of power.
Wow.
You won't have any trouble hearing this thing.
No, I won't have to sing to myself anymore.
Man, Josh, there's only one way to really see it out.
Thanks, Rudy.
All right, no problem, Josh. You take good care of her now.
I will. Whoa. I love it. Say enough about this car. It's just over the top. Thanks, Extensive. Man, you guys blew it out of the park. I knew you could do it.
You know, it's crazy to think how much time we put into the metalwork and the bed of the Ford COE already. And I feel like we're just getting started. This looks good. I know it's a lot of work, man, but this is definitely going to pay off.
Man, John's really going to love this thing when he gets it back.
He can't not. Let's get the panels in here. Shoot, if they all fit good, let's get it off the powder coat. We still have to make the suspension, bedwood, custom interior, and paint. And wouldn't you know it, Big John just called with one more thing he wants to do. Man, this looks real, real good.
Once we get that good wood in here with that paint separating the panels.
Yes.
Man, it's going to look really, really nice.
Absolutely. It's going to look totally unique, totally set it apart from anything else. We'll forget about all that hard work once. You know, it's part of the whole custom scene. Everybody's always looking to be bigger, better, and one of a kind. And this one,
I see families doing that no more.
Then you don't. Get rid of everything that's underneath and just start over. And then the fun part, the steering.
Hating myself already for coming up with another one of these ideas.
1966 Cobra replica. Missed the roll bar. For looks and for safety. So it's going to be a little more complicated than I thought. We got to create the structure underneath to hold all this together. This will make it or break it. Yeah!
first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Is important to me, but some builds, they just take me back. Hey, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing? Scott. Bill?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This thing's cool. It's definitely unique.
1965 Ford Falcon.
My dad used to have one similar to that, man. I learned how to drive down this road, and I was sitting up in his lap, and I remember steering this thing and not going anywhere.
Yeah, right. That's about what it is now.
The Falcon was Ford's answer to the VW bus in the 1960s. Unlike the VW, the engine isn't in the back. It's right in between the driver and the passenger seat.
I brought it here to let you work your magic. Ooh. I got two little ones and try to take like 3 weeks vacation on the road a year driving around, get out and see the country.
That's really cool. So you need something comfortable, reliable, and safe.
And cool.
And cool.
Getting my daughter and son excited about custom cars and maybe have them riding around in something custom someday. It's a cool thought.
Let's check this thing out.
All right.
Man, this thing's really nice in here. But just not for put your family in and go across the country on.
My wife will not drive cross country in this car with me.
What kind of engine's in this
Where'd you see this?
That's definitely not going to cut it. We might as well give it some power for Dad on the weekends.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. An engine change out is an absolute necessity. It has to be something that, I can actually keep up with traffic these days.
The dash, we'll start over, put new gauges in it. AC.
It'd be nice to have a little AC.
As far as the running gear, we just need to get rid of everything that's underneath this thing and just start over. New engine, trans, independent front suspension, rack and pinion. Make this thing drive right, because I know it's all over the road right now. Let's check out the rest of this thing. You got plenty of room in it.
A lot of studio space in there.
Yeah. You're wanting something nice, comfortable for the family, for the kids in the back. You want like TVs, iPads, anything like that?
No TVs. Stereo, music would be cool. We got to think about it being unplugged back here. Use the windows as the screens.
I get where Scott's coming from. Totally unplugging, getting out, seeing the road, and letting the family enjoy what's out there. I wish my kids could do that. Let's go make it happen.
Great.
Nothing worse than rolling up to the rest stop and seeing the exact same vehicle with a different family in it. But Scott's got it figured out. A van for the family and a cool custom van for old Dad. Why get something that everybody else has? Customizing a car, a truck, there's a little restrictions, but when you're customizing a van, there's a lot of room for improvement. There's endless possibilities for something truly custom. Come on in, buddy.
What is this?
Thing's cool, huh?
This thing's real cool.
Scott is going to use this thing to take his family all around the country.
Man, you really don't see families doing that no more, just getting together and hanging out and driving.
Then you don't. So we're going to make something really cool, comfortable, and dependable. Something they can take from state to state to state. This thing's got some miles on it. No motor. It's definitely seen better days. We got to change the power plant. I'm thinking it's a Ford truck, so we got to stick with the Ford engine. Let's go with the EcoBoost and plenty of power. Super sporty. He'll love to drive this. Hey, check this out, man. Look at this.
Yeah, it needs some suspension work, huh?
It needs a little bit of suspension work. We're going to go through this whole thing front to back, bumper
a nice rack and pinion on this thing, and something that's really stable and tight and fun to drive. Going from that, reconfigure the dash. She wants AC in it, of course. With all this glass in it, it's going to get super hot. You know, this interior, man, has got a ton of room. This is going to take some work really dialing it in. So Heath and John really got to get creative, use this space wisely, and make it comfortable for the whole family to be in it.
You sure you want to give Heath and J-Lab this free reign to do whatever they want here?
No. There'll be taco sauce all over this thing.
4 disco balls and 15 speakers right here.
This is a cool ride, right?
Yeah, it is, man.
You check that thing out. Hey, there's so much room.
Before we cut out any of the old suspension, I asked John and Will to take out the interior so we don't have any fires.
There we go.
All right, you take that. I'll go put these in a bag.
You can never have enough bags. It's so important to label everything, every little section of the vehicle that you're taking apart. And the reason is, when you go to put it back together, you're always questioning, what did this bolt do? And so the better you label now, the more time you'll save later, and the more professional your job will be.
Man, vehicles have came a long way since this was made, huh? First thing we're going to do on this is just rip out all the suspension, motor, trans, rear end, the whole drivetrain. Let's have a bare van body underneath this thing. So we start fresh.
Cool. This van's got problems, I got solutions. If it's got the leaf springs cut out and the shocks cut off, go ahead and raise it up and this thing should just fall right out. I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the front. Since we're going to be pulling the transmission and the engine together, I'm going to go ahead and pop our transmission linkage, shifter linkage, all that stuff. Take a couple bolts out on the bottom. Things should come out pretty easy. Now I got the big factors out of the way. I can come through here and just tear this thing down completely.
Looks good. We're ready to get going on the suspension on this thing. We want this to sit really low, set this thing on the ground with it. We're going to have to do a notch in the unibody here and build notch plates on this structure. We'll build the notch, we'll get the rear end back in this thing, and we'll start building the 2-link suspension on this. Cool. Make a hole. This whole van is a unibody construction. What that means, there's no full frame underneath this. The frame is actually built into the body, which gives it the strength and rigidity. All this is in the way, so we're going to start by cutting all this out, get our cross member in, and then we'll go back to connecting it all back together as one.
So you see the line, how everything lines up with the top of the frame rail. This is exactly how we want it. Perfect line, straight across. It's going to be level with the top of the frame and the bottom of the frame. Once I get this tacked in, I can cut the bottoms of that off to where they're even with the frame. Now that I got the ends cut off, I'm going to go ahead and make all the pieces to box this in. It's all going to be out of flat bar, same size, same thickness. So I'm going to make everything all at one time. I'm just boxing in the C-notch right now. Just all those pieces I cut out on the iron worker, tacking them in, making sure everything's square and true. And just get this all tacked in, weld it up, then I'll be ready to cut out the center.
Where far out thou, Ryan?
Huh?
You never heard of Romeo and Juliet, huh?
That was before my time.
You know, this old Ford Falcon van came with the straight front axle. We're going to convert it to an independent front suspension. Ryan finished the notch on the rear end. Now he's making space for the new front suspension and the cross member.
So everything is cut out and the cross member is marked up in there, but you can see the direction that we're going to take this. So I'm going to piece everything back to this center section. Basically just start off with these pieces, make them connect, get the side pieces in there, tack everything together, weld everything out, and then we can move on to building our steering, control arms, and everything else.
You know, when a vehicle rolls up this nice, creativity to focus on the details. Things you might not even realize, we customize. So when we're done, you wouldn't even imagine it any other way. What's happening?
Hello, how you doing?
Hey man, good. Juan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You got the little Cobra, huh?
Yes, sir.
But this thing looks fun, a little replica.
It is a little replica.
You know, these cars are super cool. Original Cobras, 7 figures. Even the replicas are 6 figures. Real or fake, it's still a pretty cool car. What do you got under the hood?
Let's go ahead and take a look.
Man, a little Chevy big block, huh?
Yes, sir.
I definitely wasn't expecting that.
A lot of people usually don't expect that when they see it. It's a 454, plus it has a 400 turbo transmission.
Well, I already know this thing has plenty of power.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. I need something for protection, something for safety.
It's got that much power?
It feels that way to me.
I can definitely see a roll bar back here. You know, that's one thing it's definitely lacking. And for looks and for safety.
I like it.
I think to really get the feel of it, to really see what you need, I might need to drive this myself and kind of see how it feels, you know what I mean?
Hop on it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, when you're building safety equipment, see what the car feels like.
Sure that when I came in, Bill already knew what I was really looking for. But any excuse to get it out on the open road, hey, it's fine by me.
This thing rides good, handles good, looks good. But I definitely see what you mean. You know, at times it feels kind of squirrely and unsafe for sure, just because it has so much power. I appreciate you letting me drive this thing, really getting a feel for it. It actually does help with the concept of the styling of the car.
Yeah, that's the only true way to get an understanding and seeing the need for it.
For sure.
Or maybe, yeah, it does need it. That was something, wasn't it?
This thing's fun to drive for sure. We'll take care of it for you, man.
I appreciate it.
Let's go do some paperwork.
Thanks, sir.
You know, when you think roll bar, it's just a straight bar with 2 bends and comes down and protects you. When you're designing a roll bar for such an iconic sports car, that's a totally different subject. That not only safety in mind, but something that's totally stylish, and with every angle you look at it, you want the design of the roll bar to flow with the rest of the car.
Oh, here it is. It's not bad, not bad. What are we gonna do to it?
We're gonna body drop it.
Come on.
No, man. I mean, you see, this thing's missing something.
Missed the roll bar.
You know, this has a big block Chevy in it, runs super good. If he's not paying attention, he's gonna need some extra protection on this thing for sure.
Definitely. That's a good idea.
You've seen the ones with the loop back here, the big bar in the back. We don't want that. We want something that has clean lines with it, something that emulates the front curvature of the glass. So when you're behind this thing, it just matches perfect. And not only from the rear angle or the front angle, from the side too. We want to slope this thing so it all flows together. Once we get it all done, we're going to chrome it too so it matches the front and rear bumpers.
So I understand the idea you want to do. How are we going to angle this down to the frame?
Man, we're just going to put some plates here and bolt it to the fiberglass so it looks cool.
I know better than that.
No. You know, I haven't taken all this apart to really see how to tie it in yet. You know, that's what we need to do next. Strip it out, strip the trunk for a solid foundation.
Okay.
All we're going to do is get to it.
Yeah, let's do it. It's kind of crazy. That's what holds the seatbelt on. All right, last piece. All I got left to do is pull this carpet, this padding behind it. Then we'll kind of be ready to start figure out how we're going to put the roll bar in here safe, and then we'll worry about how we're going to style it.
Oh, got it, huh?
Yeah,
how you do that? Man, they're just
nothing to tie anything to.
No.
Not only are we going to have to create the roll bar itself, we got to create the structure underneath to hold all this together. So it's going to be a little more complicated than I thought. You can't mount anything to just fiberglass. You got to have a backing support. Perfect. Going to the frame to really make everything super strong and super safe.
All right, man. It's in there.
Then we got our foundation. This is going to be, you know, like the cherry on top of this whole car. Let's get this cut. This will make it or break it. Didn't want to put a roll bar way back here in the back. In my opinion, it looks a total afterthought.
That looks better already.
Right? I want lean and flowing, so we had to cut the corner of the body out. It's a real subtle difference. I mean, that's what you want. When this thing is done and finished and painted, you will never know it was ever messed with because the lines are still going to flow and look like it was originally made like that. We're going to roll this pipe so everything has the same flow. So the same arc for the roll bar as it does for the windshield. So we want something that all plays together. Cool. See, we got our line and our square little box here. So we have 48 inches from here to here, and that's the widest point of the car. So we have to bend this so it fits in this box. Then we know when we take it over to that car, it's gonna fit. This might be a replica of a 1966 Cobra, but it's got a real deal 454 Chevy Big Block. So the roll bar we're making, it has to protect the passengers above all, while also looking like the Cobra should have from the factory. It's got a pretty damn good flow. Maybe a quarter measure all day long, but especially something like this, it's pretty damn close. Everybody's going to be looking at it. They're not going to be measuring it.
Did you ever get in trouble for standing on the couch?
You really want to check every angle. Say that real quick, Jim. You want to really get back and get a feel for the overall car itself in relation to what you're building to it. That looks real good.
I like it. It looks nice.
Let's tack this sucker on. The next step of this thing to making it one whole unit is connecting the outer plate to the inner plate and making that plate go all the way down to the frame. We have our plates on the frame, so the next thing is making the pipe from plate to plate. So we're going to put the wheel on, drop it down. Let's see where this thing rides at and how much room we have in between the wheel and the bracket. We definitely don't want the tire to rub. That would definitely cause a blowout, and we don't want to test out a roll cage that quickly. Factory engine on a 1965 Ford Falcon only had 85 horsepower. On the plus side, it was fairly compact horsepower. That thing's cool. A little four-cylinder, huh?
Four-cylinder, 2.3 liter twin scroll turbo, 300 plus horsepower.
Man, that is bad.
They're putting these things in the Mustangs, Ford F-150s. Guys at the track are killing it with them.
That's the perfect combination for this little project.
It is.
Watch your ankles. This thing's light enough where we can just manhandle it up in there from the bottom. Scoot it this way a little bit.
Which way? Forward?
I think you might have to get the lube out, buddy.
It's close or what? Yeah.
How's it looking back there?
That's all I got. I'm touching the floor back here.
Okay, forward.
Side there you go, right there. Good.
Fits in there good. Got to make the doghouse a little wider. I don't know if we need to make it taller or anything. Let's get the rack on this thing and make sure all this is going to work. And then the fun part, the steering. That's looking real good. Got the radiator in, rack mounted.
Looking all right. You see what I'm looking at, though?
Yeah, you know the next thing is coming. And you got the column out here. The wheels are way out here. It's super easy to connect the rack to to the steering.
Yeah.
But on this, we're going to have to connect the column all the way back here to the rack.
It might not seem that hard, but out of all the ones that I've done over the years, I've never had to deal with this.
Yeah. Anytime you see it when it's done, you go, oh, that's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's figuring it out and getting it to that point.
Exactly.
Always like a challenge.
Yeah, of course.
Let's drop it down.
All right.
What we're doing right now is just putting the column in its place. So everything needs to be mocked up. You know where everything's at before you can start anything. This is just where the factory alignment was. We put it back in the original spot. So next thing is to lift this thing up and start making the snake. You see how much room we have here is not very much at all. So we got the column as far into the van as possible, but it's still a little too long. Let's cut the end of that column off. All right. And then we're going to drill a hole in it all the way through. All right. We're going to cut you a little piece of the double D. So we use this little knuckle here. But we can start with this once it's at the bottom of the column. Ain't gonna work. I've never used a double knuckle like that before, and man, it's just lining up.
I haven't either.
The main thing you look for when you're figuring out a steering shaft is make sure all the U-joints aren't in a bind. You want it to be smooth, free, and clear, and double knuckle is too many moving parts all at once. There's no stabilization in something like that, so it's just gonna flop all around. So it's one frustration after another, right?
Oh, man, you said it.
Because we changed the 1965 Ford Falcon van to independent front suspension, we knew getting the steering configuration was going to be a lot of trial and error.
What's up, fellas? Look what I got here.
Buddy?
Oh, fresh out the box.
That's what we need. A 90-degree small gearbox. Hopefully, when we turn left, it goes left. When we turn right, it goes right.
If your calculations are correct.
We'll see once we get all this in.
Cool.
That's how I deliver.
Appreciate it, Tom.
See ya.
It's going to make life a lot easier.
Let's pull the column back. Let's get this in place and slip.
It's as high as I can go up without taking everything apart.
Up towards the bump. Not quite that far. All right, that's it. Hold it right there just a second. Cool. Let's make the bracket for this and just continue the snake.
I'm making a bracket for this steering box to hold it exactly where we want it. Just take a couple pieces of cardboard, make your template, get exactly how you want it, and then boom, go over there and make it in no time.
Yeah. Turn to the right. That's exactly what we needed. Problem solved, man.
I love hearing those words.
Man, it works good.
Awesome.
You know, I was super nervous about how we're going to get this to here. Never done that before. It looks simple now, you know, once it's done, but ingenuity behind it, there's a little bit of figuring. Putting it up, let's get it to the body shop.
Cool.
The roll bar is getting chromed on the 1966 Cobra replica. However, there's one thing still bothering me. There's just a hole drilled in. I mean, I don't get it. I can't believe somebody thought that's a good idea and that would be safe. We have to address this. We're going to come up with a way to make a little bracket to tie it into the frame. And that way, this thing is safe and secure, and it's a total, complete, safe package. I'll be really comfortable putting a seatbelt on that now. It's not just the seat belts, the seats are also bolted to the fiberglass. So we're going to fix that too with some new brackets.
All right, everything looks good. It's all welded in. Should be nice and safe now.
We're going to push this thing in for a quick body and paint. And then we're going to install the freshly chrome roll bar.
I'll hand it to you over the car.
Don't scratch nothing.
Jamie. We got this build as cool as we can make it. It not only looks better, but what's really important, this thing is a lot safer than when it pulled up. That's how I'd want it for my family, for sure. What's up, man?
Good morning, Mr. Bill. How you doing?
Good morning, man. Real good. You ready?
I'm ready as I'm going to be.
I know when you came in, you know, you had a couple issues with that car. The car looked cool, but there was nothing to keep you safe in that thing. We got you definitely hooked up on this.
That's the reason why I came here.
You ready to check it out?
I'm ready.
Jamie, let's get it.
Ooh, look at that. Man, that's exactly what I was looking for. Classy, elegant, and unique. Seeing the car for the first time, it was like, wow, it's Christmas for me again. Woo-wee. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So you're liking it?
I'm liking it.
Safety was your major concern on this. We addressed that for sure. Built something not only safe for you, but stylish. Rolled some pipe, made it the same contour as the windshield, and also the same angle as the windshield. We actually notched out the corners of the body itself to give the roll bar a little more room in between the seat and the body. So everything just flows together.
I didn't even notice until you mentioned it. I mean, it looks like it was that way already.
Right. You know, it's tough to come up with something new on such an iconic car, but as you can see, it's exactly what he wanted. It's all super strong and tied to the frame. You know, while we're underneath the car, we definitely noticed a lot of safety issues underneath this thing.
Blew my mind when I seen this. The seat belts were just drilled through the fiberglass body, just holding in with an anchor and a washer, and that was it.
We couldn't let you roll out like that. You know, all this hard work would have been for nothing if you would have just been ejected out of the car if something would have happened.
You're right about that. I mean, it would have been with this kind of heat, be like scrambled eggs on the sidewalk.
So we went ahead and reinforced it with metal, made everything strong, tied to the frame. Now it's really safe.
That's why I knew that I had to come here. If you would have seen something that was not going to be done right, you're going to handle it and do it right. Safety was my big concern. Now, I can definitely say I feel safe now.
You know, you wouldn't think just a roll bar would give you a different attitude about something. In this case, it definitely does. You feel safer, more confident, and it looks good.
I just want to say thank you to Bill and all his men here at Extensive. They did a phenomenal job. They went ahead and they put a bolt right here, so that way the belt is actually on the frame.
But now you're safe.
Every time I got in the car, I used to be nervous. You don't want to sit on the other side with me? Now I really feel safe. That too. I got the wind in my hair.
We gave the Falcon van a custom air ride, a new steering configuration, and an engine swap. Now the body guys are going to prep the cab for paint. What I don't want it to look like is some 70s peace van, you know, with fluorescent colors or something like that. I did kind of like that. I wanted my first truck kind of that color. It's just fitting to have, you know, the kids have their say-so in the color of the whole truck. I picked a couple of colors because I don't want this van looking cheesy. You don't want a loud, fluorescent, off-the-wall color that next year is going to get old on you. This is a family heirloom. It's going to be passed down to them. So if they pick the wrong color, they're stuck with it no matter what. They picked it. You know, a huge part of the custom world is dads handing down their passion for cars to their kids. That's how we keep this whole thing going. So we just love how Scott's getting it. What's happening?
Hi, Bill. Nice to see you.
I got Heath here. Hi, guys.
Hi, Heath.
You guys ready to pick some colors? He's so shy.
Ready? This is the brown.
No, I don't like the brown.
Okay. There's a green. The green looks cool.
I like the green. Let's see what's next.
Got like a tan, like a goldish tan.
Oh, man.
All right, there we go. All three of them at once.
So vote for my favorite one.
I like green.
Green's your favorite, Cole? What's your favorite?
My favorite is tan.
Your favorite's tan.
All right, Scott.
you're the tiebreaker.
Maybe we could do green layers.
So I think it's going to be green.
Green it is. You got it. It's a great choice.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Hey, it was nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Green it is. You know, all honesty, that was the color I was hoping they picked. This green is really going to make the whole thing stand out. With so much space in this van, the sky's the limit. And that's what I asked John to do.
This thing is as big as the sky, so we're going to do a starlight headliner on it. I'm going to start when I go to put in the fiber optic lights. I'm actually going to be using a needle to poke holes in this, so I need something that's thin enough and easy enough to get through, but yet still strong enough to help hold the form and shape. Hey, look at that. It stayed together. Now that we got the headliner all built, wrapped, and ready to go, the next thing we got to do is we got to install the fiber optic lighting. To do that, I'm going to have to take these fiber optic strands here and I have to poke individual holes for every one of them. I've got 780 of them here. I better get started. I want to try to get this thing done before the real stars come out. There's really no easy way to go about this. It's just going to be time consuming and just got to sit here and do it. You know, it's just going to matter of poking all these holes and running everything through. But the final product will be so worth it, and I think it's really going to have that wow factor.
Rather than using the old windows on that fresh paint, Chad's going to make some new ones by hand.
Okay, what we're doing here is they don't produce a lot of these windows, and it's hard to find one that's in a good shape with no scratches, so we have to make our own. This glass here is actually laminate glass. It's 2 pieces of glass with a piece of lamination, cracks it, it doesn't shatter. And what I'm doing now is I'm scoring the glass to get through the first layer. Well, the glass is really a delicate material, so what I have to do is I have to get in here and I have to break it through. Now what we're doing is we're taking some denatured alcohol and we're softening up the lamination in the center so I can cut through it and get a better finish. There we go. It's time to put it in and see what it looks like. Well, what I'm doing is I'm sitting it inside the lip here, and then I gotta tuck a rope on the inside so I can tuck the lip around the pin flow. And we're locking the gasket in. And what I'm looking for is making sure there's no imperfections, and the gasket is tucked nice against the vehicle. It's looking good, so it's time to move on to the next one.
After 4 long days of dealing with this and poking all these holes, finally have them all in. As you can see, there's a ton of fiber optics here. What this is basically, it is cast down through the fiber optics, and anywhere that you cut it off at, as you can see, the ends of it will light up. I'm only going to do this 780 times. About halfway there. 780. All right, let's see what this thing looks like. It's looking stellar, you could say. Kids should love it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be like camping out at night.
Yeah, just riding along, looking at the stars. All we got left to do now is get this thing installed in the van and get all the trim work in around it.
You know, it's pretty cool. I think back of all the days growing up with my dad, working with my dad. He loved welding and fabricating, you know, and taught me that skill set. And I applied that to the car aspect.
Totally opposite.
Totally opposite for you. Your dad
was everything into it, but not a welder, fabricator, nothing like that.
Me and him are a lot alike. My dad's all in the cars. I would have rather been in the shop with my dad, getting dirty, rather than sitting at home on the couch.
they inspired us and footprint on our children.
Mm-hmm. Dude, my kid's 4 next month, and he's really taking a liking to all this stuff. It'll be really cool, to see him kind of follow my footsteps.
That's it. Keep it going. Keep it going, man. The most important part is showing your kids your passion for something.
Yeah, it just gives them a little want to, you know what I mean? You gotta have that want to. If you don't care to do anything, you're never gonna be good at anything.
Thanks, Dad. The Starry Night headliner is definitely one-of-a-kind touch, and it just adds all the customization that we've already done to that 65 Ford Falcon van.
That's a pretty crooked board. When I finished up the Starlight headliner in the van, I thought I was done poking holes, but as I sat there, I thought about the way we can incorporate the Starlights into the seats as well. I think I'm hating myself already for coming up with another one of these ideas and these fiber optics, but it'll be worth it in the end. Got this Peruvian walnut all carved out and ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a hand router and create the pocket inside of it. With this thing being handmade, it really looks like it belongs in a 1965 Ford Falcon van. Back then, there were still a lot of the cars that were handmade. Now I have to drill 200 holes to run my fiber optics through. I was talking about how I thought I'd learned my lesson on the first go-around with these things, but no. Just going to trim these back. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool effect having them in the seats. Kind of seamless all the way from the ceiling into the seats. That's something I've never seen before. So next thing I got to do is pour the epoxy. I want it to match the seats. So I got some dye mixed up to match the leather in the van. I'm going to take my epoxy and get it mixed up. We'll get the color in it, and we'll pour this in there and let it dry. The trick here is to make sure to not overfill it, so just kind of evenly distributing it. You definitely don't want it running out all over the place, so. All right, now that I got the seats all covered and everything, the next thing I got to do is just get the nerve up and cut this thing open. Oh, it's a sickening feeling. It'll so be worth it. You just got to remember that. It'll be worth it. So once I get this all glued in here, then we'll get the emblem in it.
Man, this looks good, dude.
Yeah, man, I think it turned out real nice.
And they're gonna love it, dude.
Well worth it, I can't wait to get it to the kids and let them see this thing.
God and his family have been waiting a long time for this van, and I know they're ready to get it back. Scott's a really busy guy running his construction company up in Chicago, so we're going to ship this van straight up to him. Since this is a family van, I thought I'd ask my kids just to get their take on it, see if it's cool. You guys ready to go home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Been working hard today?
Yeah.
Hey, before we go, I want you to check out something. We just built a van for a customer in Chicago. We got to ship this thing back. But before we do, I want your guys' opinion on this, see how good we did.
Okay, let's go check it out.
You want to see it? Yeah, let's go do it. Come on. Come on. So I want your guys' honest opinion, okay?
Okay.
Not just because I'm your dad. I want you to really tell me what you think, okay? Yes, sir.
We've seen a lot of what our dad does around here. He just never really asks for our opinion.
This must be a pretty special one. John's bringing this thing out right now. It's going to be here any second. The moment of truth, I hope they like this. Like it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's really cool.
The green makes it so good. When this van came in, it was in decent shape, but it wasn't in this good a shape. We had to rip out all the old suspension, and we put brand new air suspension on this thing. With rack and pinion steering, it drives like a modern car should. The way it sits really, really, really low to the ground, so cool. Right? Yeah. It gives a new attitude. We spent a lot of time on the suspension and steering on this van, but the kids would never know that. That's all they want to see is just this thing go down the ground and get really low. And the old engine just wasn't cutting it either, so we got a brand new 4-cylinder turbocharged in this thing.
That's cool.
That's why you hear that nice little blow-off valve when it comes up. It goes, it's got plenty power. course, we had to have upgraded brakes, big wheels, freshened up all the paint, and all new chrome.
And I really like the color. I think it makes the van
pretty
unique.
His kids picked that color out.
They got good taste.
Yeah.
You know, I spent a lot of time on this interior thinking about my kids, his kids. Me personally, I love it, but I can't wait to see what you guys think about it. You want to check it out?
Yeah.
Check this out.
That is very.
I like the lights.
The stars make that so nice.
John's got a lot of time in this thing.
I spent at least a week poking holes and running lights. By the end of it, I was done with it.
Right.
It looks worth it.
It was well worth it.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it.
That being in this van made it 10 times cooler.
That's stuff we don't see every day in a van.
You guys get in there and check it out.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
They're really comfortable.
Right?
Yeah. I love how many windows there are.
The lights look better up close too.
You know, you guys are so busy looking up there, you didn't even notice there's no TVs and no screens anywhere in here, right? The whole point of this is family time.
Yeah.
Just being focused on family and the trip and spending time together and not on your phones or, you know, watching a video.
I think these guys' kids are definitely going to enjoy, have lots of fun adventures and trips in this van.
I'm already jealous that they get to take a ride in that.
This is my favorite car that you built.
Really? I guess we did pretty good, John.
That's why you gotta make us one.
John did most of the work.
I got my kids' seal of approval, so I know Scott's kids are definitely gonna love this van. You know, look at the overall van, the interior. Man, I love this little van. And Scott, I can't wait for you to take your family on the road and really hear about those trips you're gonna take together. If you're ever road tripping through, we gotta redesign everything. If it was bolt in and easy, then everybody'd do it.
We're ready to head to the future?
2020 Freightliner.
Whoa, heavy metal.
It needs to be able to push 45,000 pounds.
45,000 pounds?
We gotta put some extensive style in it also.
Bill!
Oh, I'm definitely gonna stay and watch this.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
See the school right up here on the left? I went there the first year it opened. I was in 8th grade there. This old record's been with me a long time. You know, it's a tool for the shop. I spent a whole lot of time driving it all over Texas and even farther than that. Unfortunately, it's starting to show them years. Can I go? Can I go? It's time to make a change. And today's the day we're going to do that. We're going to get a brand new record. My old friends at RPM build customized records. They told me the new record is ready for pickup. What's happening, man?
What's up, Bill? You doing all right?
Yeah. I really appreciate you taking this thing on trade for me.
We got you. We'll get her fixed up and find a great home for her. Meanwhile, we'll put you in something head to toe under warranty.
Man, I can't wait to see this thing.
You ready to check it out?
I'm ready to check this thing out.
Let's see it.
That thing is bad. I've never even seen one of these on the road.
First one we built, and you got it.
That is cool. I wanted something bigger and meaner. And this brand new 2019 Chevy 5500 has way more bells and better. I can't wait to load something up on this thing.
Yeah. So we got you the 21-foot bed, stationary pylon. That stationary pylon so it doesn't move, because we never know what you're going to be doing with it. The new frame that they gave on this 4-door is real low to the ground, so you won't have to throw a lot of boards to get your low-profile cars up there.
You know I like it low.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right.
Brian, that's what I've been needing, man. Something really reliable, and it looks really cool, and I really appreciate that.
Problem, Bill.
And, man, you take this one, and I'm going to take that one. Thank you. I can't wait. It's like Christmas. Like I'm 10 years old again and Santa just came. I'm always looking for ways we can up our game. And this little upgrade's gonna make a big difference. I got a call from my old buddy Jewel. He wanted me to come by and check out a project that he's been working on for quite some time. What's happening, Jewel?
What's going on, Mr. Bill?
How you doing, man?
All right.
This is it, huh?
This is it.
Oh, El Camino, man, you don't see too many of these things.
That's right, Bill. 1973.
The El Camino had a run for almost 30 years. This one is a 4th generation as past couple of years. We've had our hands on it by building a chassis, adding coilovers, and putting a new 6.2 in it. So I know you already have the chassis done. You already have the engine in this thing. What colors are going to be?
Black, shiny black.
Man, that's going to look good.
That's
There's
right.
only one thing left.
The interior. And that's where you come in there, Bill.
Yeah.
I need the interior to look like the outside of the car. Fabulous.
Well, you know we got you on that.
The reason I want Bill to do my interior because I like how he custom do everything.
So what are you thinking, Jewel?
This car's a 1973, man. I want it to look like a 2073.
So something totally futuristic. Just get rid of everything that's in here and come up with something totally custom.
That's what I'm looking for.
From these old bucket seats, you kind of want to stick with something like that.
What I need old for?
Chunk it. So something just totally unique, totally custom. As far as the dash, we'll come up with something that looks really cool. New cluster that might hold them things in a little better than that. New AC vents. We got to build you a really cool console that flows from the dash all the way back.
That's right.
Totally free flowing and totally look futuristic.
That's what I'm talking about.
And as far as stereo,
I want them to hear me when I'm coming down.
so you want something loud looking, you want loud sounding.
See, Bill, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
This thing's going to be cool. It's going to be our first El Camino interior for sure. I'm ready. As soon as they get paint on this, have them drop it off, we'll get this thing. This has been a big project for Jewel. It's been years to get just to this point. And in the end, it's the tiniest details that take this whole thing over the top.
Clear? Yeah, we're clear. Coming down.
You know, El Camino is kind of the oddball. It's not really a truck. It's not really a car. So some people love them. Some people hate them. And Jewel loves them. Most definite challenge to make it different, making it futuristic and something that, you know, he can enjoy for years to come that won't be outdated. I'll know this thing is right when people walk up to this. They will automatically think this is a cool custom truck car.
Man, I kind of like these El Caminos, man. They're cool, dude. Man, I'm not a fan of them. I mean, come on, make up your mind. Do you want a car or do you want a truck? Pick something. That's what I'm saying, though. You can take it to church, look cool, and then still put your goats in the back. Oh, Buff Man. Oh, here he is.
Well, you guys know what we need.
A lot, yep.
This thing can be cool. You know, you want something relevant and futuristic that can stand the test of time.
What do you mean futuristic?
This thing is a 1973, and he says he wants a 2073 interior.
All right.
He don't want the same old seats, the same old console, and the same old dash that everybody else has. So we're going to hand make a brand new dash and a console.
Instead of gauges, we did kind of like a Tesla. You know, it has that big touch screen in the middle. We can have all your functions for media on the bottom and then the gauges on the top part of it.
Cool. It just sets this thing apart from everything else. So we got to redesign everything. Headliner, carpet, seats.
What do you mean seats? These seats are futuristic. Check this out. It doesn't get any more futuristic than this. No matter how many tacos you eat, you can always get in.
And not only just something that looks good, we want this thing to sound good. I mean, behind the seats,
Plenty of room back there.
have room for whatever you can dream up if there's room. I know you guys won't disappoint, man.
Never. You ready to head to the future? 2073. Let's get it.
Because it's a complete do-over, Heath and John are going to take this thing all the way down to the bare metal.
Family.
he's back. Can you unplug the airbag for me? This old dash is made of plastic. It's just going to crack and crumble. There's no way we can fix it. So instead of messing with it, we're just going to rip it out and build something new. So where we're going, we don't need no dash. Because we're making a new dash from scratch, it means a lot of work.
But it also means we can do whatever the customer wants. And as hot as it gets down here in Houston, he wants it cold. Real cold. Super cold. Normally, when you do an AC system in an old hot rod like this, you would have a flexible ductwork that's squished in certain areas so it slows it down. We're going to go directly to the evaporator, so it'll have a nice amount of air coming out of there. So what we're going to do is build our own vent system off of this. Basically, I'm making a box which will feed into the vent chamber. I'm going to curve this way so it forces the air that way instead of bouncing around in here. Our other vent's going to force it into a Y pattern. It's going to take the air and disperse it across this whole area straight up. Functionality-wise, I think it's going to be good. It's important that we get this plastic weld on the end. Now pull it back and then push it forward, and it makes like a little bridge. Looks almost like a MIG weld. It takes a little longer than glue, but it works well. Real good way of bonding those plastics together. A lot of people, they're afraid to do a dash because it is a big undertaking. You can't be afraid. You can't have any fear. Once I built my first one, I was hooked because it really separates you from the crowd. Nobody will have another vehicle like yours. I've done interiors on cars that have been second, third place cars. And we do an interior with a dash in it, and now it's best to show everywhere it goes. So it's definitely worth it.
When a customer comes to us with this dream project like this 73 El Camino, it's on us to create something that's way over what he's expecting. That's why Heath is making the dash completely by hand.
Now what we're going to do is start designing the dash around our temporary vent. So I'm going to build the sides first. This shape right here determines the whole shape of this lower dash. Being that the air vent has got a different arc in the lower portion of the dash, these ribs are different all the way down. As they go and move along the dash, each one of these fits like I want to. It's a little bit extra effort, but it's worth it in the end. We have a structure now. I'm going to go ahead and skin the whole thing with 1/8 inch PVC so it's smooth with as little body work as possible. And then I'll go from there and form the rest of it with a little bit of heat, a little bit of pressure. Got to clip it around that metal on the bottom, line it up with the vent. That's cool. Now I just got to finish everything else.
You're halfway done to 3/4 of the way unfinished.
There you go.
Running it back to the shop. You know, we've done a lot of different builds over the years. Each one has their own little challenges. Any job, when you're building something totally custom, you're doing it for a purpose. This job is no different. The sheer scale of this one is what sets it apart.
What is this?
This thing is a 2020 Freightliner. 37,500 pounds empty. Damn. Right back over. The city has these wreckers well equipped to pull the biggest vehicles out of any jam. There's one problem with this that hadn't been addressed. It needs to be able to push 45,000, 50,000 pounds, off the road. That's not going to do it. Definitely not going to do it. So we need to make a push bumper for the front and not just regular old heavy-duty bumper with some rubber pads. We got to put some extensive style in it also. It's got to be a custom bumper to be able to handle all that weight.
And this big, massive wrecker can do anything, but once we address the front end and it can push, it'll be able to do everything.
Correct. I'll get the gate. The new wrecker smell. Man, just looking at this truck, you can just see the strength in it. Every part and piece is overbuilt. And we have to take that over the top thinking and really add a lot of strength to the front of this truck. You know, there's a lot of projects that come through the door where, you know, they have to have strength and style, but this one is times 100. It's a cool truck, huh? What we're doing is building a new super strong front bumper that'll be able to push 45,000 pounds.
45,000 pounds?
That definitely not gonna do it. That just fold up like a can. Before we get this thing all stripped apart, let's get some chipboard and really get a visual of how I want the bumper to look. It's supposed to be 24 inches, but you know, that corner right there, if the front wheel goes in a hole, this thing's just gonna dig right in. So the best thing to do is slope it up a little bit, you know, keep it from dragging on a curve and make it look a lot cooler too.
Yeah.
Man, you ready to get that plasma fired up?
Hell yeah. So with this bumper having to push 45,000 pounds, we're gonna have to go with the thickest metal we can. 1/2-inch steel plate on your fingers. Whoa, heavy metal. Telling you, 1/2-inch plate definitely isn't a quick process. But the plate being thicker, the plasma has to penetrate a lot more metal and it has to move slower so that when it does penetrate, it doesn't give us an angled cut. So have to slow down the whole process so we can get that perfect straight cut. Now just take it off the table, clean it up, see how it looks.
Rudy did a great job burning this out. 1/2-inch plate, super strong. This is exactly what this thing needs to be able to push the weight it needs to push. The next thing we need to tackle is the bumper brackets. We're going to weld this bracket right to the back side of this plate here. Basically, it's going to tie to the front of the truck here and bolt to these bolts here. Then we're going to bend a 90 on it. That's where the strength needs to be to get out here on the side. So it's really critical to build a bracket that's really strong, coming all the way out pretty much to the end of the bumper.
That's hot and heavy.
Got it?
Yeah.
You ready to bend it? Let's bend it. We're gonna bend this at 1 3/4 inches. It's gonna have a lip on it. That's gonna give us our side load. We slide it down this way a little bit. We've never bent the 1/2 inch on this machine before, so okay. Hopefully our brake. Well, that ain't gonna work. You know, with all the flash floods, hurricanes we get down here in Houston, the city wants a bumper on the 2020 Freightliner to be able to push 45,000 pounds. Our new 1/2-inch steel bumper is definitely going to do the trick, but our brake wouldn't do the job, wouldn't cut it. In this case, wouldn't bend it. Luckily, I got a guy right around the corner in the neighborhood. He's got a big enough press to get this job done, and that's where I'm heading right now. Hello. Casey, what's up, man?
Not much. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, but I got a little problem.
What you got?
I got a piece of 1/2-inch plate, 6 feet long. My brake just isn't cutting it.
1/2 inch? Come on now.
Can you help me out?
Let's take a look.
I know this is nothing for you,
Nothing.
man.
It's a little baby. we can help you out with this. Piece of cake for us. We do it all the time. We have 1,000-ton press brake, so that's 1,000 tons of pressure coming down, so they can definitely bend some steel.
So from this line out, I needed 2 1/4. That's why it's at
different.
Yeah.
All right. Let's set it up and see what she does.
Compared to the steel that Casey bends from day to day, this bracket is tiny. So with this machine, they're going to just make sure they get the right angle. This thing bent that like butter.
And now you go like this.
Perfect. Look at it. Man, that's on the money right there. Appreciate that. Thank you, man. This is exactly what we need. It's a perfect 90 degrees.
Once we get this on the bumper, it's going to be able to push whatever's in front of it. You better look out. Don't get in its way.
The 1973 El Camino was the first generation of the swivel seats. Heath and John have convinced me to keep the swivel. But if we're going to make this design as futuristic as Jules asked for, the rest of the seat has to be totally custom.
As you can tell, this seat isn't very futuristic looking. We're going to strip it down, get all this off, get the foam out of it. We just need to figure out a mount and a shape for our headrest mount that we're going to have on here. This has to go. Coming up with this seat design, I kind of thought of what you would see in, like, it sounds kind of corny, but like a spaceship or something, without being too spacey. Transfer this to expanded PVC. We're going to use a router because it's got a flush trim bit on it. We can go all the way around, and every piece we make will be the exact same size. There we go. Looking pretty good. We're going to set it in the car and see what it looks like. So far, I like it. And now we just got to get the foam looking futuristic like the rest of the seat. It's going to look cool.
What we're using for this seat is a high-density foam that lets us get a good hard line for our shapes and the design that we're going after. Even though I'm not a huge fan of El Caminos, in all honesty, it just makes me want to take this one over the top even more, so even I love it. Take some PVC, heat mold that into place. We're going to use a weighted sandbag here once it's all nice and hot. You mean this? Yeah, go for it. It'll mold and bend in the way we want to, kind of contour to the seat. That way the sandbag gets its hands burnt and not me. The cool thing about doing things custom is you know that no one else is going to have it. It's going to be one of a kind. I like the creative aspect of it and actually making something out of my mind. I tried sitting down at a desk one time. It didn't work out for me. I could not do it. Cool. Then we'll be ready to wrap it. All right, that bad boy's clean, so.
All right, now we're moving into the center console. What we're going to do is build a base that looks like the floor and give the effect of a floating console. So now I've just got it routed out with the router, and then we can start assembling this false floor. Cool, that fits. All right, looks like it's fitting pretty good. Now I got to figure out the sides, make chipboard templates in here, and then replicate those out of 1/4-inch PVC, and then we'll attach it to the side. Now I can put a little heat to it, fit it a little better around these bottom corners. Punches just are right next to the gas pedal here. We don't want nothing protruding. It's always good to run a heat gun in 100-degree Texas weather. All right, set this sucker in here. Uh-oh. It's not gonna fit. That's not gonna work.
Even though we're building a custom one-of-one interior on this 73 El Camino, it's definitely not a blank slate. Because we gotta build in the confines of the original design of the close creativity happens.
Well, as you can see, this thing isn't gonna swivel. It's too wide here, too tall. We're gonna have to modify this console. So, looks like I got work to do. Doing custom stuff like this, there's always something, man. So, you can't let it get to you. If it was bolt in and easy, then everybody do it. So, it ain't easy being cool. We barely clear, but we clear. Now we can make some plastic. Being that there's 3 layers, we have to bend it and then stack and then bend it and stack and bend it and stack. When you heat it, the molecules expand, which is going to push it down. First piece, heat it, bend it, attach it. Second piece, plastic. Heat it, bend it, attach it. Our third piece, heat it, bend it, attach it. Got all that cut out, grind these corners like I want. Now you can see all 3 pieces line up. It's going to give a nice, cool effect, man. Still got some detail work to do, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, man. See what we got. Think it's gonna fit?
Yeah.
Rudy's done an awesome job getting these half-inch steel pieces ready. Now we can tack them on the truck. Okay, next piece, we got our upper bumper bracket. We'll poke 2 holes in this. We'll be able to bolt that sucker. This really supports the edge of the bumper out here. Look good. It's gonna look good. This thing looks mean. Compared to what it was before and what it is now, night and day. Man, let's sit there and tack it. The placement of the bumper pieces are really important to give it the right form and function. Hey, hold that big flat bar up against it. It looks like it's too far in on the top. Here, let's just tack it to it. You know, the long straight edge right there, you can see exactly where the grill is versus the straight edge. It's farther out on this side from the fender to the top of the bumper. Fender, see it? You have the straight edge with the grill and the bumper, you know it's on the money. Pulled it a lot, huh? This thing looks good, huh?
Looks damn good.
Yeah, we got a great start, but right now it just looks like we found a piece of plate 45 the corners and make the wheel opening continue all the way down into the bumper. So from the side, it looks like it fits the truck. That'll work. Let's go with that. All right.
All right. I think we got enough stitch welds on this thing to transport it over to my welding table. So being that our big beefy bumpers made out of half-inch plate, my welding process is going to be stepped up just a little bit. For this one, I'm going to have to crank the speed up and the voltage up. So voltage is how hot you're going to be welding. So for thinner metal, you want to keep the voltage down. That way you don't just burn right through the metal. And for the thicker metal, you want the voltage up pretty high. That way you get it nice and hot and actually penetrate into the metal. You want your wire speed up high. Because you're burning really hot, you want there to be enough material to come out and burn into the metal. Well, it looks like we're done welding our bumper completely out. What we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and grind down our welds on the top of the bumper and the front of the bumper, make it look nice and smooth, and then send it over to powder coat.
It floods, which is the whole reason for the new bumper for the 2020 Freightliner. Because sometimes the city has to push big rigs out of the way and fast. Now that the bumper is back from powder coat, it's time to cut some rubber for an extra layer of protection. Is you? Man, I need some speakers in here, man. It's a push bumper for the big 18-wheeler record, so we need to clad the front of this with rubber. What I need your help with is making a jig for this thing so we can stick the rubber to it and route it. There's no way to do it with a razor knife.
You never want to mess your rubber up.
You know, this is definitely one of those steps that nobody ever knows that you do. We're taking the time to make sure all the edges, sure this is right when it leaves and looks as good as it can. Man, let's make it just a little cooler. Maybe 3 lines in here. You know, we'll cut out little windows in this. It won't affect anything when it's pushing, but it'll give us a little more color on the front. If we could just spend a little bit more time to make it a lot better project, man, it makes me sleep better at night. Ooh, thank God it didn't break that. Ethan, really appreciate your help. All the edges look real good, nice and straight and clean. Flip this thing over, put the lights on, and stick it on the truck.
Start pushing some stuff over, huh?
We gotta test it out with some. Maybe we'll test it out with heat.
I don't know if it's that strong.
What are you doing? We just built the bumper
push the toter
Yeah,
with the wrecker.
Rudy's backing it up right now. You want to check it out?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna stay and watch this.
Here it comes. Damn! That thing looks massive now. That just makes you want to get out of its way, right? Yeah. You know, I already knew this bumper looked good, but really seeing it come down the street at you, it's making a statement for sure.
That thing looks really good. It fits the truck now, like perfect.
Yeah, and this bumper ain't no punk either. That's not 1/4 inch plate. That's 1/2 inch thick.
You're definitely not gonna bend that one.
No.
It just fits and flows like it came with the truck. From the engineering to the form to the function to the overall style, the looks. Yeah, I did a real good job.
That's the point, right?
Look just as good as I do coming down the road. Anybody else hear that dog?
From where this thing was, it was just weak. And now, this thing is super strong. And if Timmy's impressed, you know we built something cool. It definitely looks good, fits good. We want to make sure it works good.
Find the bush.
Well, the heaviest. Rudy, you ready? Let's see what it do. Ain't nothing to it, Rudy.
Man,
Got it, man.
And no flex at all.
Man, no problem.
That's four-man function right there.
Right? No problem at all. 45,000 pounds is nothing for this bumper. I definitely think not only looks good, works good, functions good, and it's super strong.
And y'all didn't tear up the toter home.
Yeah, I know you was worried about that. Before we took on the interior, we've been working with Jewel on this 73 El Camino for a while now. We installed a new LS, and Matt's getting this thing running.
Now that we got the motor all in it, I got to finish up a couple little things, and hopefully with some luck, it'll fire right up. This is an LS3 throttle body. We just got it painted. It's kind of go with the overall appearance, better look. The throttle body allows, when you hit the gas pedal, the accelerator pedal, it'll open up and allow the air to flow in. I'm going to go ahead and put the cold air intake on that we had made for it. They're not made to go in the cars we put them in, so there's always little quirks that we got to work. They're flexible, so you can kind of bend them out of the way as you need, keeps them away from the headers. They can handle some heat, but direct contact isn't good for them. Now we're going to try to start it and see where we go. Everything's looking good. Motor sounds strong. We're ready to get this thing on the road and see what it can do.
You know, door panels are just one of those things you may never even notice. When a customer like Jewel says he wants something futuristic, something like no one else has, hand-making custom panels, well, that's everything.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to scavenge this lower portion of the door panel. The only piece I really need is this top rounded edge. And I can make it myself, but it just saves me a lot of time. Now we've got these taken apart, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start our template process. To get our template, I have to destroy this panel now. It's going to piss off El Camino owners because this is probably a hard panel to find for some people that don't want a custom interior. Now it'll be useless when I cut this pocket out, but it's perfectly useful for me because I need to make a template. So go find another one sometime. You find little tricks that make it go faster. And more important, you make it look like you have it in your head the first time. However, it takes a long time to get to that point. What I'm going to do is a technique called kerping. Kerping is a process that allows me to bend the material. And I'm going to put the fiberglass reinforced filler on there, which will hold that shape. Use this piece to kind of mark the bottom of that dash. So when I make my inserts, it's all going to line up and the lines are going to flow correctly. To me, that's one of the biggest things, is that everything lines up, everything flows, it looks like it belongs. It was done correctly with a purpose. Perfect. our base panel lines up with the base panel of the dash, and our bottom side lines up with the bottom of the dash. That's good. So we just got to duplicate it on the other side. Man, it's going to look really cool. Now that we got the console laid out, it's where it needs to be. Next thing, and the most important thing we need to do, is put some tunes in this car. I'm gonna go with a smaller driver, put it in a ported enclosure. That way I can tune the enclosure, get more bass out of it, and we'll really make something cool in the back of this car. All I want to do now is cut a hole for the woofer and a hole for the port. And just like that, hole in the box. Basically what the port does is it tunes the enclosure, get this sound real nice and crisp and tight and solid. We're gonna run with a 14¼ inch port. The longer the port, the lower the tuning frequency. This box is tuned at 32 hertz. Now that we got the port in the box, all I gotta do, put a little sealant around the outside. I'll run on the inside with some liquid nails to hold it in place, good and solid. This box is finished. What up, man? What's up, brother? I got us a box. All right. With all we're doing, the speaker box on its own just ain't gonna look right. Yeah, so it's gotta look seamless, so we're making a panel to blend it into the entire design. It's gonna be dope. We're trying to get some depth on the box, give it some dimension, instead of just being a square box back here, because we don't want a big block on the side of this thing when you open the door. We want it to be nice and flowing from the doors all the way to the dash. This thing's gonna be cool. The next thing we want to do is start working on the bottom. And I'm gonna kerf it, that way it'll bend and we'll get a nice curve to go back in on itself and get a good shape on this enclosure. Now that we have the curved wood in here, we just need to just get it to fit just right and we'll fiber all it in. The main important thing to me was this transition, making these curves more natural looking, helps it all flow back into the car. We don't want it to end, so we're going to continue it all the way through, make one complete piece of art. It fits the panel real good now. We just got to do some grinding, shaping, body working, and she's ready to wrap. You just made that sound like it was like 10 minutes of work. It is. I ain't doing it. The technology and stuff that everybody has nowadays, it's setting a precedent right now where everything looks machine made. Yeah. And I didn't get into this to be a CAD man, you know? No, not at all, you know. I got into this to build cool stuff. We try to use the machinery as much as we can to speed up some processes, but you still have to have that organic feel. When I got started, computers weren't even around. I know how to turn them off and turn them back on. Yeah. That's see if I broke it or not. If it's not working, turn it off, turn it back on. Or just go make it by hand. Yeah. It's a lot easier that way sometimes. What drives me crazy is, you know, people will spend all this money on paint, wheels, tires, suspension, and they get to the interior and they just tint the windows or just say, oh, well, I'll just paint some pieces. Yeah. Too many times you walk up to a car and you're like, man, that is nice. And you miss that point. Exactly. That's where you're at in the car. You know what I mean? That's what you see. Spend all your time inside the car. Inside the car. Hopefully, if it's built right, you're not working on it on the outside all the time. You're driving it. Originally came in wanting red interior on this 73 El Camino, but that classic red, it just doesn't scream the future. So we changed it up, with his blessing of course, to a clean, modern blue leather. We got our seat ready to wrap, and we got this blue leather here. We'll give it good contrast with the car, give it a nice futuristic feeling. We'll take the patterns that I just made, cut it out, glue them to some foam, hit the sewing machine. You know, when we're doing our custom seats, they're far different from doing any factory seats. Our factory seats already have patterns. Everything on these have to be figured out, you know. There is no rule book on how this is supposed to go together. You just gotta kind of shoot for the stars. Now, we move on to wrapping everything. I'll start working my way through the door panels and move on and get the whole car done. Gotta wrap each individual piece, reassemble, put back on the vehicle, and repeat that process over and over again. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Man, this thing came out pretty cool, dude. Yeah. Got the gauges up there. all connected through OBD2 and Bluetooth. So it just transmits all the data from the motor to the tablet.
And radio and media center, everything at the bottom. I like that, man.
Got that trim panel for it?
Yeah.
Let's see how she looks on there. Yeah, see, that finishes it off nice.
You know, El Caminos have always stood out just for what they are. Part muscle car, part truck. But I can safely say there's never been another one created like we made here. So we're going to take Jewel back to the future so he can see his 2073 interior for the first time. Jewel, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's going on, Bill?
What do you think about this place?
Man, this is a nice place here.
You gotta set the tone, right? You wanted something futuristic? You know, what better place to give you this thing back than a DeLorean Motor Company?
I can't wait to see it, man.
This car I know has been a labor of love for you. You've been waiting on it for a couple of years. We built it in stages for you. We built the chassis, the new LS in it, good brakes. You wanted...
I'm tired of hearing you talk about it. I want to see something.
I know you gotta be
see something.
Man, let's check this thing out.
All right. I know that ain't it, man.
That's the same one, man.
Bill, that's what I'm talking about. It look mean when it comes to you.
It's a presence when it's coming at you, right?
Bill, totally different car, man. Totally different car. Ooh, man, look at that steering wheel,
He's
man.
the one that's, you know, created this interior, this thing.
Man, ooh, I love you for that, man. I love you, man. Come on, man, give me a hug, man. I love you for that, man. Man, car look real good, man. I'm talking about real good. It can't look no better.
You know, when it came in, man, it was rough. It's definitely took some time, but it's been a labor of love to really make you something special.
When you said 2073, you weren't playing around, Bill. Man, it smell brand new. It smell brand new. Look at them seats, man. Them seats just make me want to just sit on them.
That seat isn't something you can just go by. These guys shaped every part and piece of this,
man,
and then they wrapped each individual piece.
My name now, man. That seat is calling my name, man.
When it first came in, the dash that was in there just wasn't going to come from scratch. We handmade everything on this thing. We heated and molded all these pieces to get that futuristic shape. See, you see that big line in the middle of the dash?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
What's that?
That's your air vent. When you turn your AC on, it blows a solid line of air right at you all the way across.
And y'all done took it to another level. A whole nother level. Oh, man. The seats, the headline, the center console, carpet, everything match. Can't ask for it to be done no better.
What you don't see is any gauges in the dash. Yeah. That's where they come up with something really cool.
That tablet has all your gauges up top. The lower one down there has your radio.
2073.
That's what I'm talking about.
2073.
Tell them about the system in it.
Yeah, we got a Rockford Fosgate 5 channel in here. 10-inch subwoofer. We put on one side, kind of like they would in the future. You have components in the kick panel, and everything's run off a cool app that works just like a radio, but you got navigation, you've got everything.
I ain't even seen this in the new cars yet.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just really impressed with the interior in this. I mean, starting from scratch, building something that's never been seen before, and giving Jules something really that's amazing. You know, shoot, I'm even amazed myself. I can't say enough about, you know, Heath, John, all the guys at the shop. They always step up, putting their heart and soul into...
I'm right on up, because I ain't never seen nothing like this. Man, this is everything I can ever want. Come on, man, give me another hug, man. Give me another hug, man.
I'm glad you like it, man.
Yeah.
You're actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it.
I cannot wait to see this. What is this, man? This thing's huge. You know, it's a 1996 International 4700. You want to fix up a dump truck? Huh? This truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date.
Everything on this thing was just pot cut and welded together.
This is way above par.
That's mine? Wow.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need. They come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
parking lot's always full. You know, each times, you know, starts and finish really quick. Sometimes, you know, a vehicle comes in and gets put on pause. Life happens, right? So you just want to finish that thing. You want to get it out the door, but, you know, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. It eats at me for sure. You know, everybody sees it. You know, why is that there? What's going on with that? You know, eventually that thing will come back around. You get it going again. You finally get that thing finished. It's a definite sense of accomplishment. Me and Sean go way back since high school. We did a body drop back in '95 on his Chevy S10. Sean's been waiting to do another build for a while, and I think I finally have the right project for him.
This it? All right.
You know, the owner is just way too overwhelmed with this truck, so it's a perfect opportunity for Sean to buy it and take it over.
Man, I've always liked the unibody ever since I've seen the one y'all built years ago.
Yeah, they're super rare. I mean, this is something, you see these body styles a lot, but nothing like that. I mean, it's unique. Most of this truck is a 1968 Chevy C10, but with a little twist. It's a 68 Chevy Caddy. We built a whole new frame, front to back, that's already built. There's new doors, new fenders. You know, there's a late model 5.3 in it, 24x10s, 24-15s in the back with a 9-inch in it that's already been narrowed. The old dash has been cut out and a 56 Chevy dash put in it. This thing is a perfect start for you because you can put your own personal touch on it. You know, with the right colors, right wheels, tires, and getting this thing running. It'd be a cool project.
I like the fact that there's a lot of stuff started on it, but I'm gonna be able to finish it my way, the way I want to do it.
I know how you like to color match.
Well, I mean, you got to keep my shirt and shoes matching, keep it fresh.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we can bring a little bit of color inside the interior, match the chassis color, and have a little contrast with the body color.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, I see Sean liking this thing. Hopefully he can see, you know, past all the work that had to be done and just see the vision for this project. You know, on the back of this thing, I think something that would be really cool to really set this thing apart even more would be building an aluminum bed cover on this. It just continues that smoothness all the way down from the front bumper all the way to the back.
Keep it real clean.
Exactly.
First time I saw Bill, first day of my freshman year of high school, he pulled up in his long bed, lowered, square body Chevy truck. I was like, man, I don't know who that is, but we got to get in with him. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
You know, everybody that has a car shop, automotive repair shop, custom shop, there's always a project or two that's sitting around back that just doesn't quite get finished. This one's no different. Project like this, they snowball into dreaming big. And when you dream big, sometimes your pocketbook can't hang with the dreams. You come in for one thing, next thing you know, you're building a chassis for it, changing the motor, and totally stripping it down to where you're at. You know, this is a prime example for that. Digging it out of the back and getting going on it, man. I've got high hopes for it.
So the rumor's true?
You got it, man. You know, my boy Sean's taking it over.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to dig this thing out and get this thing going and finish it up. New owner, new plan. You know, a normal C10 truck has the body and then the bed totally separated. You know, we made this thing a unibody. We welded bed sides right to the cab, a custom tailgate skin, smooth bed floor, a 56 Chevy dash, and a 68 front end. You know, we got a work to be done. I mean, just from the front of this thing, you know, getting the grill, all the sheet metal back on this thing and seeing what we have, what we still need to get. New glass all the way around, flush mount, you know, something that looks really nice. So you already know Sean's style. You know, every time he comes in, he's got to have the shirt and shoes matching, you know.
So we're going to paint it yellow wheels with green trim on it. Typically his favorite colors.
You know, Sean's got to coordinate, so interior is going to match the engine, chassis, you know, make everything color coordinate, which leads to the bed, which me and you, buddy, are going to build a bed cover for this thing out of aluminum, you know, flush with the top of the bed, something that just makes this thing slick all the way from the front to the back.
I mean, it's crazy to think you unibodied this thing 7 years ago.
It's been a minute.
7-year build.
This thing has
a ton of work and a ton of memories in it. You know, we got a huge head start. We still have a lot of challenges in front of us for sure. Me and you start doing the bed cover in the back.
I don't see where we get the head start from.
The custom bed cover we're making is going to sit flush with the top of the bed, but it's also going to open and close. So I had Jesse make some cool custom hinges.
Did all right.
He did good, man. I know this thing's a pain in the butt to make, man. It takes forever. Rudy, the first thing we need to do is make a brace from side to side that holds the hinges. All we have to do is weld it in place and start building our bed cover.
All right, so the first thing I gotta do is cut down my 1.5 square tubing to fit inside the bed. Then we'll go ahead and start making our modifications inside the square tubing so we can fit our new bed cover hinges. Got my tabs tacked in. Looks like it's gonna be right where we need it. Our hinge is giving us enough lift and enough articulation, so this thing is ready to go.
Man, this is exactly what we needed, Rudy. This metal work that's already was here is a little inconsistent. That'll create a lot of body work later, so why don't we just cap it with a piece of sheet metal to go from this edge all the way over and then down and have a little lip out here. Then it'll be laser straight all the way around this thing. Then we'll have a nice bed for the bed cover to sit right onto. We'll just cut this sucker here. This is going to make for a lot faster installation, and you know, there's little ways to make things easier. You learn as you go, you know, all the little tricks of the trade. And one thing we learned is not just tacking, looking down it, stepping back and maneuvering. Use a straight edge. So we're clamping a straight edge. We know it's straight both ways, this way and that way. There's no second guess. There's no wondering if it's right. You know exactly. You can just tack down it, keep rolling, go to the next step. And this is just one little trick of the trade.
So before we slap our aluminum sheet metal on top, we need to build a frame for this thing. We don't want the sheet metal going all wonky on us when we're opening it up. So that's why we place these ribs across so we can use it to simulate the bottom of the sheet metal. So all I have to do is just mark it, take the hinge off, trim it, come back and put it on, and get my actual frame piece, and tack them up, and then we'll move on from there. Got my hinges marked up, so all we're gonna do now is take them off, go ahead and trim them up. I left enough room on the bottom and back side of the hinge so we get enough weld on there, give us enough strength to hold this bed cover. Alright, we'll get our top rib here to simulate our aluminum sheet metal. Push the hinges all the way up, make full contact with them.
That's good, Rudy. Very, very good. This is the most critical stage of making everything right. That way the gaps stay perfect, everything stays the same all the way around, and you don't damage paint when it goes up and down 20 times. So it should be closed, and we'll open that sucker up. Works good. I mean, just to this point is a ton of work that nobody's ever gonna know, but if this isn't right, that affects everything else. So now the rest is just work. You know, just like any part of a project, you got to have a plan. And our plan on this is building from the inside out. So we need to build all the framework first, make sure all the kinks are worked out before we put the final little skin on the top of it. Welding out the bed cover frame on the C10 unibody. You know, to make sure this thing has plenty of room to close, we're going to shave off the top of the wheel tubs.
All right, so now we got our bed cover mocked up. Everything fits nice and good. The only issue we're seeing is there isn't that much clearance between the bed cover and the wheel well. So what we're going to do here, fill it back in nice and flat, and that's going to give us plenty of clearance between the wheel well and the bed cover. Got my lines drawn out of how much I want to cut off. I'm anticipating that this 4-inch cut off the top of this round wheel well, probably going to take it down about a 1/4 inch. Next step is make my nice flat pieces out of 16 gauge sheet metal.
just trying to straighten out my panels here because obviously we went from a curved edge to what's now going to be a straight edge. So I just want to make sure and get my sheet metal nice and flat, so whenever I put my flat piece in, we'll get a good, nice transition from curved to flat. So as I'm tacking my filler piece in, I'm using these super strong magnets. This helps me make a nice flat top as I'm applying pressure to my filler piece to my round fender well. All I have to do is fully weld it all out, grind it smooth, and this baby's all done. Let's see how much clearance we got. So this would be the bottom of our aluminum. Looks all good. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the frame on there, skin it with the aluminum.
When you've been building custom trucks as long as I have, you kind of get in the habit of saying this is going to be a big build. There are big builds and there's just huge builds. And yeah, there's a difference. Today I'm out here at Ocean Corp to see my boy John Wood. What's happening, John?
Oh, hey, Bill, how are you?
You know, John runs a training school for underwater welders and commercial divers.
Hey, man, how you doing?
What's happening, man? Yeah.
Good to see you, man.
What is this, man? This thing's huge. Where'd you get this thing at?
I bought it from Florida Highway Department. It was an asphalt truck.
You want to fix up a dump truck?
Huh?
Man. You know, it's a 1996 International 4700. You know, that's usually used for hauling, commercial applications, or even as a dump truck. You know, I can say for sure we never customize one of these. For starters, I don't even think we have a lift big enough for this.
I just liked the look of it. I thought this is kind of like the world's first jumbo pickup truck.
We got an old highway department dump truck that you want to make cool.
Yes, sir. That's it. Something
yeah, that's
cool.
all.
Yeah, that's it. That's no lift for you. You can do anything. I got the inspiration. I wanted a big, kind of funny monster military high water vehicle, and I liked the shape of the crew cab on this truck.
What are you going to use this thing for?
Marketing for the company. I want to be able to skid mount diving stuff or NDT stuff somebody can do with a little creativity with a fun truck. And it'll be a toy too. I mean, you can't minimize the toy value.
Right, right. Man, let's check out the back of this thing.
Check this thing out.
Yeah, this got to go.
Yeah.
Just take this whole dump bed off and just start fresh.
Right.
Shorten the wheelbase, put some air suspension on it, make you a nice new bed, something you can take on and off, you know, easily.
Can't forget the cool factor though. It's got to be cool.
Well, for sure.
I'd like the dump truck to attract attention. I want it to be cool above all. It's got to be flashy and fun and interesting and different. It's got to be different.
What's in the inside of this thing?
Oh, that's a different story.
Man, there's a whole lot of ugly and yellow.
Yeah.
Man, John, once you pull up in this thing, it's going to draw a crowd immediately. When you open the door on this,
no, you
can't have this.
Can't have that.
We got to start off by, you know, covering these seats, putting some carpet in this thing, make it look a lot better. I mean, something you can show off. What's under the hood?
Big diesel. What more do you want?
Shoot, how many miles on this thing?
120,000. So that's not
Ain't
bad.
even broke in yet.
No.
This is a turbocharged 444E. It's a million miles. Maybe get rid of the water hose and the electrical tape.
I kind of like that electric tape hanger. That's kind of nice, yeah.
Look at the front of this thing.
I tell you, you're not digging on my school bus yellow.
Man, we got to get rid of this.
No bueno.
No. You thinking of any colors or anything you want to see on this?
Whatever you think is going to pop and be interesting and fun and exciting.
So you're trusting me on this one?
Pretty much.
I'll come up with something cool for sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Man, this is going to be a fun little project, man. The only thing is, this thing isn't going to fit on my record.
No.
I guess I'll see you at the shop. Huh?
You want me to sneak it over there?
Extensive has worked on a ton of vehicles over the years, like Kodiaks, F650s, you know, a lot of big vehicles, but this truck is the biggest and heaviest that we've done to date. Dealing with the size and weight of this vehicle adds to the challenge of the whole overall build. One of the first things you do before you even get started tearing anything apart is just taking into consideration the jacks you have to use, the jack stands, the impacts that you use on a vehicle this heavy, not to mention, you know, picking the right suspension, building a 4-link heavy enough, the lift high enough and sturdy enough to hold. I think I'm absolutely crazy. They already do anyway. This is probably going to prove it.
What in the world we got here now?
Ain't no telling.
We gotta climb up this thing?
Why do we have a dump truck?
This old Mr. Wood's new project, you know, unique guy. Want something unique?
True John Wood fashion. He's always had some crazy idea of what he wanted.
Well, that's the problem. We got a dump truck, but he doesn't want a dump truck. Oh, Mr. Wood wants something just to go anywhere, do anything, all-purpose, militaristic, cool-looking truck. You know, first thing we'll do is dump the dump bed. It's got an extra long wheelbase. We're going to shorten the wheelbase, bring it down to a 60-inch cabbed axle, and put a stake bed on it. We definitely got to upgrade the suspension on this thing, give it a nice look. Just get the stance right with the militaristic wheels and tires, you know, helper bags on the back so he can still haul whatever he wants to haul. Get the mechanics right underneath the hood. Somebody had some creative fixes underneath the hood, you know, make sure all that's right and do something with the interior. There's a whole lot of ugly inside this thing right here.
That reminds me of my old high school bus.
I bet it smells like a high school bus too.
I've been trying to forget that smell for years.
Let's get this thing in front of the shop. Let's get it all tore down. Just get this thing as lighted. As is, the International weighs well north of 10,000 pounds, which is past the top capacity of our lift. So I'm going to have little one cut off the bed and boxes, and hopefully it'll get us right under.
We're about to cut off this dump truck bed with a torch. It's too much thick plate, too many old boats. It's better to just get rid of it with some nice fire. It's a good thing we got forklifts so we can get the bed up and we can see exactly what we gotta cut. Yeah, I gotta get that pin out to release the hydraulic cylinder and get this damn bed off. Free at last.
You know, when we pull the bed off most trucks, we can just manually lift it. But we got to get creative to lift this bed and just lift it safely.
Took 2 forklifts, a little bit of fire, and some help. We got the dump bed off. Now it's time to get these boxes off. I like to live life on the edge. Stripped away from the truck. Now we gotta see what this thing weighs.
You know, this lift is rated for a maximum 10,000 pounds. So we're gonna take the extra precaution of have this thing weighed so we know exactly what we're working with before we even put it on the lift. And if it's still too heavy, we're gonna have to go back to the cutting board. You take on a model vehicle that you've never worked with before, especially the size of this international dump truck, is going to create all new challenges for us. What that means in reality, we got to do a lot of setup work before we even start to build.
Got some bad news.
10,020.
Yeah, we're 20 over.
But you weighed it with you in there, right?
Right.
So you weigh about 120, something like that. So
I guess so.
100 pounds under.
We're good to go then.
You know, our lift's rated for 10,000 pounds. We got 9,920 pound truck. So we're about to put it to the test and see if it's really rated for what that sticker says right now. 15 inches.
15?
15. You know, pushing and pulling on it, its weight can shift, especially with something this size. It can get really dangerous really quick. So we're welding 15-inch extensions from the frame directly to the lift, so this thing won't move anywhere.
I need a favor, amigo. Oh, I need it water like that.
You know, with the build this big, you have to build parts to be able to build the parts to be able to build it big.
Vayas con Dios.
So just like life, everything has to be in balance. The ideal spot for the extensions to go is where the lift is centered to the cab, so the weight of the engine doesn't rock forward and the weight of the rear doesn't rock back. Alright, moment of truth finally. We're gonna get this thing in the air. It's 10,000 pounds, 10,000 pound lift. We should be good. I'm gonna double check the front. I'm a little
little nervous. I got to make sure that everything's good before I go up in the air and 10,000 pounds over me. I'll get crushed like a little L1 pancake. That's good. I'll work comfortable right there. There's a lot of weight up here. Everything we do from here on out has to be very particular so that we make sure we don't go too much overweight or overweight at all. It's hard. One tiny mistake and we're gonna have a huge problem.
We made the bed cover hinges, frame, and skin for the 68 unibody. Now Rudy and I can install the struts.
Think that's gonna work, man. Cool, it ought to get plenty of height. I know they're gonna be strong enough.
Oh yeah.
They look like you're skiing right there.
All right, guys.
All right. All right, man. Thank you, man. Good work, Jesse. It's good, man. Thank you.
All right, man. See you guys' hands now.
Let's see if them shocks work. Man, looks good, man. There's plenty of room. Backpack, cooler.
Tote full of shoes. He'll be happy about that.
Yeah, his whole lineup of shoes. That'll work good, man. Well, you know, last thing, getting the skin on. Once the skin's on, that's it.
You know, the old truck's been sitting around the shop for a couple of years. You know, it's really good to get it back out, get it going again, get this thing finished up. I mean, it's going to be a really cool truck once it's all done. For support off and start screwing the metal down. There's nothing to hold the frame perfectly flat. So we're just putting a couple of little spacers in here. So then when we put our sheet on it, we can put pressure drilling down, and it's not going to push our frame down, leave it sagging down like that.
Man, for once, it's starting to look like a complete truck, huh?
Yeah, looking good, man. We pre-marked where the bottom framework is, so we're just marking so we know where the center of the frame is on the sheet. So we're gonna pre-drill the sheet, run tech screws in it so everything fits nice and tight. And then we can pull the whole thing off, and then we can get Jesse to TIG it to the framework so it's one complete bed cover then. This thing will be ready for body work. You know, Chevy never made a C10 truck with a cab welded to the bed. You know, it took a lot of work getting here, but to make all those lines look right, it's going to take a lot of body work. And with everything we got going on at the shop, we're going to need some help. We're going to need some help bad. Man,
what's up, dog? Good to see you.
You know, it's not every day you can just pick up the phone and call one of the best body and paint guys around. And him just get in his truck and trailer is a true friend.
Man, you saved me once again, man.
Hey,
I mean, I know Tennessee isn't right around the corner.
Man, it was right down the street, you know what I mean? 12 hours around the corner, but we got it. You know what I mean? What you gonna do with this one this time?
I just want to start totally fresh with this thing.
Bare metal up.
Blast it, spray it, make the gaps right, make this thing look good, make us look good.
You got it, man. That's what we do.
Thank you. You know, Zane's going to give this truck a lot of attention at his shop and then bring it right back to us.
This is a tremendous amount of work. This thing's been here since I first started hanging out. And it's just sat outside and been neglected for all these years. You know, I mean, it's super cool to see it finally getting, you know, the love that it deserves. I'm just going to hammer down, drive through the night, and get back home so we can get going on this thing first thing Monday morning.
The C10 unibody is getting bodyworked by Zane. John's going to create a seamless look on the inside of the cab with a handmade speaker box.
With it being a unibody truck, we're going to take the subwoofer box and actually build it into the truck and mold it in so there's no seams or anything. It'll all be part of the truck and we'll wrap it all as one piece. We'll do some router work. We're going to make some trim rings, some base plates, stack this thing up, give it some depth, some contour, work it in so it's not just a mud work. The important thing here is to lay it as smooth as you possibly can so you don't have to sand as much. It's probably one of my least favorite things to do, but one of the things that I have to do the most. What we'll do now is we'll just take that, let that round dry, and then we'll finish out the other side and it should come out pretty easy.
We put a lot of different truck components together to make this C10 unibody. So all the bodywork has to be on point to make this thing perfect. Our guys in Dunlap, Tennessee are doing just that.
Pretty big day at the shop. Tons of bodywork going into this thing. We had the truck all blasted down to bare metal. The guys built the bed cover from scratch. Very nice stuff. So what we're gonna do now is just perfect what they had already started. So what we're doing now is taping off the jam to get the bed cover to meet the bed sides. It's a little low in a couple of spots that a little light filler will take care of. Don't be afraid to use tape. Using tape doesn't make you not cool. It makes you smart because you're not having to create more work for yourself and taking all this Bondo out of these jams that are already straight. It's not broke, so don't fix it. Wiping a panel this big, you've got to do it in sections just so you can concentrate on over here instead of all of this all at once. So we're going to move into, when you look across the top of it, it just looks like it just came that way. We round all of our edges off. Paint won't stick to a hard, sharp edge. So come in there and make sure we keep those round. We got pretty much the majority of the bed cover bodywork, so we're gonna use this little gap checker here. This is gonna tell us how big the gap is and make sure that it's straight all the way down. We've got a 4 all the way down. So this tells us that the bed cover is evenly gapped all the way down the bedside. This beats eyeball, and this takes all the guessing game out of it. Spend you a couple bucks, get you one of these to make sure that your gaps are perfect. So now what we're gonna do is get it off of the truck, do a little bit of final sand in there, pick it apart, make sure we didn't miss nothing, and get this thing in primer.
Because this frame on the International dump truck is so long, we can't even close the bay door. It just sticks out. So for now, Little One's gonna relocate the axle and make a rough cut to the frame. We'll finalize the length of the frame, then we'll cap it.
Because we gotta move the rear axle forward, we gotta take apart the whole leaf springs, back half of the drive shaft, all these hydraulic hoses, wiring. Once it's all done, we'll be able to close the door and get our shoulder wheel. We're gonna slide the whole assembly together. Much better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You got a big truck, short wheelbase. That's cool as hell.
Yo!
What's happening, man? You doing good?
Man, I'm doing good. How's things down there?
Couldn't be better.
Hey, it's color time.
You got it. Sean wants his C10 unibody to be painted white.
A white truck is difficult to really stand out from a crowd.
So I asked Zane to come up with something really special for this white and put a little something extra in the mix.
I'm gonna go to work. Thank you. Days like today, we're really excited to get to do something different. There's so many colors out there that it's hard to stand out and be different. It's something else, man. It's gonna blow them away.
This is Lumicoat. What it does is it is crushed mirrors. It reflects the light in low light conditions, so you can see it more clearly.
So when the light hits this at nighttime, it's just gonna glow like the emergency stickers and stuff.
Like a street light. In the daylight, they'll knock your eyes out.
At nighttime, this will knock your eyes out.
It will.
This is pretty nasty, you know what I mean?
It's pretty cool.
I'm freaking pumped, man. Let's get this thing painted. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time, so it's like fun to be impressed by something. Nothing wows us anymore. It's usually the same stuff, different day. I cannot wait to see this.
It's been a little over a month since Zane started working on the C10. And today's the day he's bringing it back. And I get to see this thing in person.
What it do?
What's happening? I really appreciate you taking this on, man.
I love my away games at your place, but we got to do this one at home, and I think we knocked it out of the park.
Man, I'm ready to check this thing out.
Let's open it up.
Man.
Woo!
Turn right a little bit. Turn left a little bit. There you go.
What you think about it?
Man, this thing looks better than good. Looks like it's been dipped.
This is the brightest white that we could have possibly put on it with little crushed mirror flakes in it. I mean, this thing just dances in the sunlight.
Sean can't not like this thing.
And if Sean don't like it, call me. I'll be the first one to buy it.
All right, I know you're ready to get back.
I'm out of here.
We got a lot to do to it now, too. It's been a few years since we built the custom chassis and suspension for this truck. We're going to pull it all apart and powder coat it a dark red to contrast this white.
Everything still looks good. A couple little things we'll change up and freshen up and make it just like brand new, but this thing's gonna start coming together here real soon. While the frame's at the powder coat, he's working on some custom kick panels.
You know, there's a lot of different ways we can go with these kick panels, but the main thing is we make sure the design kind of flows with the rest of the truck. We have the carpet that's going to be on the bottom of our doors, so we want to continue that into here and then make a cool little shape that's going to kind of match the rest of the vehicle that's going to hold our speakers. Now we rough cut that, set up the router and go to that. Puzzle, man. So we kind of set it up. We got our base, we got our baffle for our speakers, and we got our trim ring that goes up here. The speaker's actually going to mount from the rear in there just like that. So we can build this whole thing on the table. We'll fill in this back area right around. Slightly score this on the back side, allow it to bend without. All right, we got it all wrapped around with our panel board here. Now all we got to do is get it all mudded up, wrap it, and we're done with these kicks. Since I'm actually going to take this box and mold it in and make it part of the truck, what we're going to do is take this, make it solid one piece, get this screwed into place, and then we'll come in with some panel board and start molding this thing in. We're going to actually wrap the whole back of the truck with the box and all at one time, so there's no seam. Just kind of follow along with the idea of the unibody. So now we'll just start making pieces to get the sides filled in. So what I'll do is I'll use some chipboard. There'll be no separation from the body to the box all the way around to the back of this truck, so that'll look pretty cool. When I look at a space that I'm trying to design out and figure out what's going on with it, just kind of keep in mind the body lines, the style cues, and things like that from the vehicle, and just kind of incorporate that into what you're building, and just let it kind of flow through and just create something, because you're actually making something that no one else is making. No one else will make it. It's one of a kind. You're just putting your own spin and your own thoughts of these things, so there's really no wrong way to go about it as long as you get to the final product that you're after.
The frame and suspension are back from powder coat on the C10 unibody. Man, this thing looks even better than I thought it would. You know, with an all-white truck, it's really, really important to pick an accent color that's really going to stand out. We definitely achieved that. I mean, this is way above par. I mean, this red is actually a couple of colors in one. It's got a chrome base over a transparent red, and it really, really, really looks good.
We hand-built this frame years ago. Now, to get all the components on the chassis and watch it go up and down with the motor on it, something I didn't think I was going to see. This was just a stock piece of 2x3, 2x4. Everything on this thing was just pie cut and welded together, and it just gives you a great pride knowing that it's rolling down the road 80, 90 miles an hour, carrying somebody's family next to you, and it's just rolled real good. Now we have the mock-up wheels on. We have a complete rolling chassis. What do you think, buddy? Does it look good?
After so many years of waiting, I can't tell you how satisfying it is to see this truck finally coming together. Mountain glass, custom wheels and tires, and finally it's time to give this thing a new home.
I was 22 when I first started welding. I had a friend call me and he said, "Hey man, you want to come weld?" And from there I began MIG welding carbon steel, then moved up from there to MIG welding aluminum, then from MIG welding aluminum to TIG welding aluminum. Just worked my way up. I grew up here in Houston, just right down here from the shop, about 5 minutes away. As a kid growing up, hearing about Bill, I always heard he was the best man at bagging trucks. I mean, I used to come with my friends, check out the shop. I would come out by all the time. Then years passed, and never in my life did I think I would ever be here working for Bill.
One of my favorite builds that were done here at the shop was Marco's Red Z01 Camaro, because it was aluminum chassis, and man, I got to take the whole thing out. It took me hours, but it was done right. When I see like a build that I worked on the road, I always tell my wife, hey look, I welded that part on it, I welded this on it, I welded the gas tank on it. It never gets old, man. I love it. I just love welding.
Man, that place always hits the spot, man. I'm so full, I don't even want to go back to work. I don't know what you're about to do.
I'll get back there eventually.
You know, it's always good to finish a project up, especially when one's been lingering around the shop for so long. And what really tops it off is finishing the build for a good friend of yours.
Got to get over here and work on some of this stuff you got sitting around the parking lot.
Right? We got to get this parking lot cleared out. That's always a struggle.
For 30 years, I've been going over here to the parking lot and never been cleared out.
Right? I got some work I want you to check out real quick. I want your opinion on something.
You want me to give you my opinion?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what you got. Oh.
I want you to check this out.
All right. Well, let me see what you got.
That's mine?
Oh, wow.
Been a minute, huh?
Been a while. Man, this is awesome.
You know, last time you seen this truck, it was just basically a rolling chassis and a body on it.
Yeah.
It's 100% now.
Well, unibody, that was the whole reason I liked the truck. I knew that this is what it would turn out like.
With the cab and bed welded together, that really makes this truck look super smooth. It just adds to the whole custom look of this thing. You know, people just gonna look at it and go, man, that's a cool looking truck. It took to make that.
Oh yeah, they'll know. And it's something different that you just don't see out there.
You know, from where it was to what it is now, man, it's night and day. From the roll pan, you know, to the 68 front end, to the nice smooth hood, you know, no wipers, no cowl vents. That's all been shaved. To the front glass, all flush, man. You know, Carmen hooked us up with the A&N hot rod glass, makes us a nice windshield, nice back glass with no rubber. So it makes this whole thing look modern. And then down to the bed cover me and Rudy built for you. You know, it's just something you don't see on these trucks, and it just finishes the whole thing off and just makes the unibody part look super smooth.
I mean, the way this thing sits on the ground, I mean, that's phenomenal.
You know, that just doesn't happen with the air suspension. It has to be a chassis specially made, you know, to make a vehicle go this low. You know, added these brand new wheels and tires, 24x8s in the front, 24x14s in the rear, with huge brakes on this thing.
Man, the chrome polished 24-inch wheels, the way it sets off the truck, man, it all goes together so good.
And white, you know, white is super hard to pull off. My boy Zane stepped in. He told me if I ever need anything, give him a call. That's exactly what I did. And you see, Zane got down on it.
Did an awesome job.
Right? It's not only just white, but it's got metallic and a pearl in this, so it really, really stands out.
You can actually see the metallic in the light. See the shine on it.
Check this out.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
Right?
I like that.
Once we got it back from Zane, blew everything apart and just started by powder coating all the suspension, all the frame, all the components to go with that. It's a chrome powder coat with transparent red over it, so it really gives it that anodized look. Yeah. And when the sun hits it, man, it just kind of blinds you.
This thing's definitely a show truck now.
And it's a late model 5.3 LT, so it's got plenty of power in here too. Man, let's check out the interior on this thing.
That's nice.
Right?
Man, so clean.
You know, John and Heath really got down on this from top to bottom, from the new headliner to the carpet, you know, the custom-made door panels. There's subs in the back, you know, the kick panels. This thing gets down to, you know, the seats, the console, the all-metal 56 Chevy dash. It's got the Dakota digital gauges. So when you start this thing, everything lights up. It looks like a brand new late model car.
It don't even look like a dash. It looks like a spaceship. Well, the guys did an awesome job. They did great.
You know, Sean, just another example of my team coming together, creating something.
The first vehicle you built for me, and it won't be the last. Man, thank you.
After years of just being passed around, moved from bay to bay to bay, stuff piled on it, finally unpiling everything off the top, getting back to work, and finally finishing this thing up, it really feels good. Rudy! Need your help again, buddy? We need some hangers for the International over there, so I need something, you know, pretty beefy. One of the things we're learning on this 1996 International is how many extra steps it takes to even start working on a truck this size. This would be the whole mounting point for the whole rear suspension. Once this is made, we get it bolted on, everything will come off of that. It's heavy enough, huh?
All boxed in, all the way around.
5/16 plate, this is plenty of strong. This heavy of a truck, you know, gets stuck in the mud, a little bit of wheel hop, these things aren't gonna go anywhere. Let's see if this bolts up. Man, them things look good. That is exactly what we need to hold all this weight. You know, this is what makes me excited. Taking on the unknown and flexing our creative muscles. To do something.
A little bit of powder coat on these things would be right.
You know, we got the hangers done. Let's get the tabs on the rear end. And then we can start building a 4-link. We'll build bag mounts, shock mounts. Then we're